Have you lost weight only to gain it right back after returning to your routine? Did your diet work for someone else but not you? Rockin' That ID Life helps you understand your genetic makeup to find a lifestyle that fits your needs. Together, you and RockinThatIDLife.com can focus on your health and meet your goals today. That's RockinThatIDLife.com.
Center Ice Brewery is a proud sponsor of Let's Go Blues Radio. Visit CenterIceBrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or make a reservation in their awesome tap room. That's Center Ice Brewery, located in Midtown St. Louis. Let's go Blues! My bad. Welcome to Season 10, Episode 2 of Let's Go Blues Radio, where the often imitated, never duplicated, fully vaccinated, excommunicated, circumventilated, decontaminated, unrefrigerated, the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast. Please refrigerate after opening. Special thanks to RockinThatIDLife.com and CenterIceBrewery.com for proudly sponsoring the show. Two great sponsors. Please check them out. We're broadcasting live on Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021. This is franchise episode number 320 all time. To interact with the show, we're all over social media, and we have our own Discord server. So just go to letsgoblues.com for those links, plus links to past episodes. We're dual live streaming right now on YouTube and Facebook. If you haven't smashed the bell and subscribed, please do so. It warms our cockles. And who doesn't love warm cockles? Your host... Your hosts tonight are yours truly, Kurt Price, Bill Day, and Jeff Ponder. And for your listening pleasure, for the next little while, we'll be talking some St. Louis Blues hockey. Lots to talk about tonight. And we also have a special guest, which I guess since he says he's going to be with us for the duration tonight, we'll see how his stamina is. Stephen Ground from the Two Guys, One Cup podcast, friends of the show. Welcome to the show, Stephen. How are you tonight?
Are you lost? What are you doing here?
I don't know. I thought I clicked on a Zoom room. I ended up here. God only knows. But thank you guys for having me nonetheless.
He took a wrong turn of Wikipedia and ended up here.
Ian's like recording a show by himself right now. Like, where the hell is he?
Yeah, he got lost somewhere in Valley Park. It's curtains for him. But, we'll find a new co-host. We'll persevere.
He's over on the Locked On Blues podcast, I think, if I'm mistaken.
That's right.
We should have a rotation where we have one host from each show switch a show every single just one episode 1 week. I think that would be, and then not even call attention to it.
He could probably
Price with Bill Day and Stephen Ground.
Ian could probably get paid babysitting money for over there at that show, right?
Yeah.
Bunch of babies. Kids, I mean, younger folks, not not the whiner type, not the whiner type, the youngins.
Yeah, they're the younger millennials,
the teens.
Right? Is that millennials still? What are they? I don't even know.
I don't know.
Are you a millennial, Steven? What are you?
They're flirting with Gen Z down there. I'm a millennial, but those folks are.
I'm an Xer.
Might be Gen Z.
I'm an Xer.
I don't know these days. Who can keep track? But
yep, yeah, I'm a millennial, so I hate going to work, and I don't work well with others, and I wish my parents gave me more money. So,
What's your Myers-Briggs there, Jeff? You gave half of it.
Good Lord. We mentioned Steven's here. Fellas, how about you boys? How's your past week been? You ready for some Blues hockey?
It's getting there, man. Tomorrow training camp starts. So let's get after it. I'm ready for some actual legit Blues conversation and talk.
Right, and the weather is right on time.
Yes,
nice 20-degree temperature swing in 2 days, and we've moved on to sweater weather. I love it.
Sunday,
not that it'll be here. Right, it's gonna be a little bit warmer this weekend.
I was gonna say during the Blue Note 5K, it's supposed to be like mid to upper 80s, I think. So that's at least, but not in the morning, I don't think. So it should be all right in the morning.
Right. I think we'll be fine. Getting the car back home by noon, we'll be okay.
Yeah. Speaking of which, the Blue Note 5K is Forest Park this weekend, Sunday. If you haven't signed up and you were planning on it, time is running out. You can still do so.
Yep.
So
I think I'm picking up my stuff. What is it? Fleet Feet.
Fleet Feet Friday or Saturday. Yep.
Yeah, I think I'll be there Friday to pick that up.
Yeah. I think Amy's getting ours as always, and mine and hers. So
I'm standing in line Sunday morning.
Who's going to win? Who's going to win of the three of you, Kurt?
Of the three of us, my daughter Zoe probably. She brags about winning, quote quote winning, at the All-Star festivity, the 5K that we did. I'm not. She's 12. She was what was it, 10 back then, I guess. Yeah, and I was running with her, and at the very end, she just decided to bolt towards the finish line and beat me. So that was
nice.
A little cheating going on, but whatever floats your boat.
You should have just ran up behind her and tripped her.
I should have.
Passed the finish line and started doing like a rock dance or something.
It's on Sunday. It's like, aha. Yeah, I'm bigger. I'm stronger.
Yep. You gotta insert your dominance when you can as a father. I've learned that.
Yeah, it'd be the alpha male.
I learned that with my 9-year-old.
You know her tactics. If you let her win again, it's on you.
Or I could just be a good dad letting her win. We have a giveaway tonight, which will take place before up until our first break. Well, I guess we'll make the decision during the first break, Jeff, or how we're gonna do this. We didn't talk about that in detail, but
yeah. So what we'll do is we're gonna have. So I like to do the comment of the show, and we actually have an early runner here already. So I'll go ahead and mention him, Kevin Welch, who I don't know if we've had in the live chat before. So might be a new live listener. He in the YouTube chat says Steven is losing in the Blues swag contest. What are you doing there, Steven? Come on, buddy.
Severely true.
Well, it's a ceiling, so to be fair, I don't have anything on my ceiling either.
Yeah, it's there's no angle I can give you that makes it better, though. So. I recently moved, if that's any consolation. Somewhere in here, I've got a Yaroslav Halak poster, so
there you go.
Maybe I can pull that out at a break and just kind of stick it up on.
You get Bill's vote.
Yep.
Chris Bray in the YouTube chat says, "Happy autumnal equinox, fellas."
Which yes, to you too, Mr. Bray.
He is known for his celebratory equinox posts. So
interesting.
First day
of
known for. I mean, he's known well. He amongst his friends on the social media that he's friends with. So
wait a minute, you're telling me a listener of this show has friends?
Apparently. I mean, at least one, me. So I don't know. I'm not sure of his other personal friends he's got going on. I'm sure he does. He's a nice guy. I'm sure he lots of friends.
Nice.
He's a nice guy. He was in the Let's Go Blues Radio trivia contest.
That's right.
And he lost to Jimmy.
Yeah. How do you lose to Jimmy?
I don't know. It was embarrassing.
All right, we need to get to our this is the breaking stuff here, folks, that people are probably tuning in for. Not just, our beautiful faces and Steven's beautiful background, but this comes to us from the official pregame party of the St. Louis Cardinals. And for those of you that are not in St. Louis or don't care about the Cardinals, just turn your ears off for the next couple minutes. But we've got some pretty awesome news. I actually mentioned to Kurt and Bill that I've been checking out this great spot in St. Louis, the Cardinals Nation Bar, which is literally right across the street from Busch Stadium. They even have an entrance right there to get into Busch Stadium for a game. We just discovered late this year that they've got a setup where they have a pregame party for up to 2.5 hours before the game till the first pitch. All you can eat, all you can drink. And my in-laws, me, my wife, we've fallen in love with it. It's fantastic. It's all the stadium food, the brats, the nachos, the hot dogs. Plus, they've got like bacon and eggs and just great breakfast food and snacks. Just it's awesome. And then the beer's flowing. Very easy. And you think about it, $40, maybe you kind of like, but it's awesome. It's really cool. Again, $40. Think about what you're spending in the ballpark. Kurt, you have two young kids. When you take them to a game, how much are you spending if you're getting food and drink?
Oh, I'm cheap. I don't buy them anything. But if not, when you go there, you'll spend what is it, $6-8 on a hot dog. You'll spend another $7 or $9 on a soda or whatever it is. And if they want ice cream, and if you want something yourself, then all of a sudden you're pushing $30-40 right there. So I mean, yeah, and if you've got 2 kids with you at the game, you want to be drinking heavily. So I mean, you're going to have a lot of beer. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's how I am with my son. That's the only way he knows me is drunk dad. So
that's a good story.
And I'm kidding. He's actually never.
I think Child Services has actually joined the chat.
He's actually never seen me drunk, so that's good for me. 9 years so far, so I'm happy with that. But anyway, so
you're an absentee father, so he wouldn't have seen you drunk anyway.
That's true. I've only met him 3 times. All right, but about the giveaway and why I mentioned the official pregame party of the St. Louis Cardinals. They also have a DJ there. Well, he's not a DJ; he's a host. His name's Joe. He is the biggest asshole, and I mean that in the nicest way possible.
Isn't it the guy that gave us these tickets?
Yes. And I said,
what a dick!
I guarantee you, he's listening to this right now, and he's saying, "Yep." It's his sense of humor. He's one of those guys, and he literally just picks on me the whole time I'm there, which I love. I love that. And so yeah, his name's Joe. He's fantastic. You can follow him over on Twitter at Cardinals Pregame. Is literally that's it. Cardinals Pregame, all one word. So he's the one that hooked us up with these. He's gotten to know me through the podcast. He found out I had a podcast. We got to talking. Great guy.
But Jeff, what do people have to do to win these tickets?
That I'm glad you asked, Kurt. Let me tell you.
People are wanting to know.
So they host the official pregame party over at Cardinals Nation before every home game, and that's every home game, so keep that in mind. It's inside the Hall of Fame Club on the 2nd floor inside the Cardinals Nation. All-inclusive party for 2.5 hours up to the first pitch. Guess what? You're going to get those for next Wednesday's game if you win our contest tonight.
And
unfortunately, podcasters, you are not eligible for this. This is for our live listeners specifically. And yes, also I know what Kurt's getting to.
Right.
Tickets to the game itself.
So the pregame party. Yeah, the pregame party.
Pregame party for up to 2.5 hours before the first pitch.
2 tickets.
And 2 tickets to the game itself.
Yep.
So again, that's got your full buffet in the pregame party. Rabid Cardinals fan base. They have prizes, giveaways. The party's very interactive with everybody that attends. Everyone has a chance to win. I won a T-shirt my first time. My wife has won a couple T-shirts in the 2 times we've been. And every now and then a Cardinals legend will pop by from time to time. Again, and also want to go ahead and mention tickets are still available for the final homestand over at cardinals.com/pregame if you want to go to one of these events and try it out for yourself. I will. And then so the giveaway is 2 tickets for Wednesday, the 29th versus Milwaukee, and 2 pregame tickets starting at 4:15 that day. So take off work early. And all that you got to do, folks, jump in the YouTube chat. Well, if you're listening right now, you're already there. Or the Facebook chat. We are monitoring both. Best comment. You get tickets. You win the whole package. 2 tickets for each. And I will also say, brand new news for Kurt and Bill, even that these 2 tickets. That second place also gets a prize. So we'll have 2 comments of the show.
I love surprises.
And, yep, and the second one, and that person will get 2 Hall of Fame tickets to check out the Cardinals Hall of Fame.
Nice. So, and the Hall of Fame is now over across the street, more or less, right? And
it's actually in Cleveland.
Oh, that's awkward. That's weird.
It's very silly.
Canton, right next to the football Hall of Fame. But isn't it next to the that AstroTurf field where the big screen is, where you can go out like in the courtyard area, and there's the outdoor bars? That's a really fantastic area too, by the way, over in Ballpark, next to Ballpark Village there, next to the right down from the big huge World Series statue and the big STL statue where folks like to take pictures. Really cool place to just walk up and watch a game for nothing. You can just get the atmosphere. You hear the crowd from the stadium right across the street, and there's bars you can walk up to and get a drink, and there's a huge TV up elevated that you can watch outside. It's neat. It's cool. If you haven't been there. So anyway, and I think the Hall of Fame is right there.
And this is awesome. So we already got a couple comments here I want to go ahead and get to. We've got Kevin Welch says baseball game is $100 for a family, even if the tickets are free. And he's right.
Yeah.
But again, and that's why this pregame party is so beautiful. When I go with my in-laws and my wife, I get loaded at the pregame party with food and beer, and then I'm good for 9 innings.
Yeah.
I don't need to get anything else.
And
maybe I'll get a water in the 8th inning, and that's it.
Depending where you park too. I mean, parking is, if you want to park close, that's not cheap either. So I mean, but you can. I mean, if you want to make it really cheap, if you win these tickets, you go park, a ways away somewhere. And we always like to park near Four Hands, outside Four Hands. You park in the street there if you can get a spot in the street before because they charge like $5 to park in the lot, which is nothing. You park there and you can go in and have a beer or two and then walk over to the game. It's not that far of a walk. Or you can park in the street for free.
If you want to go on a little hike, you could park at our friends at Center Ice
Brewery too. Yeah,
I would say get a beer before, but you're going to be doing that at the pregame, so that'd be kind of silly.
Well,
go ahead and stop in and get one anyway.
I mean, that's too much beer is silly.
Yeah,
silly.
Right.
Too much beer is silly.
But no, and that's I'm not kidding when I say this. Like when I go to games, and especially if it's a drinking day, I spend a shit ton of money. When I go to these pregame parties, I spend maybe another $7-8 on water in I guess it would be the 7th inning. That's it. And that's it. So these are free tickets, free food, free beer, free snacks.
All right, wait.
It's a win.
So you're saying they're free? I don't understand. Oh,
free.
Free.
When
When you say that.
So folks keep commenting, and again, we've got some stuff we're gonna get to in a little bit here, but in terms of what we already have, Austin Lynch gives us an update. Speaking of the Cardinals, they just won and now are on a 11-game win streak, which is fantastic.
Great time for this giveaway. They're right in the middle of this, and they
want to go to these games.
They're essentially, I don't want to count chickens before they've been hatched, but they're going to make the playoffs now. So.
Oh yeah,
it's almost it's tough. It'd be tough for them to lose. They'd have to lose quite a few games, and what the Reds would have to almost win out. So, yep, looking good.
Chris Bray says I'm taking Ken Hitchcock if I win.
Yeah, and has officially been disqualified.
I can't wait to get to the Ken Hitchcock and portion of the show. I mean, we haven't talked about Hitchcock in a long time.
No, it's been a while. Fire away, folks.
I almost miss those days.
Yep, I miss the Bill rants. Those are some of the best.
Brandy
Capone asks, "What if I take a broadcaster / podcaster to the game?"
That sounds like a bribe.
I mean, if you want to take Steven, that's not going to help you. I'll give you that.
Oh. Very nice.
And by the way, when I say
depends on who
the show, a lot of times I pick the funniest. Keep in mind that sometimes I do pick the most intelligent and insightful. And again, Kurt and Jill will be weighing in on this as well.
Yeah, I mean, just be funny if you want to be funny. Be clever. Be smart. Whatever you think.
Over at Two Guys One Cup, we'd never expect intelligent or insightful comments. So kudos to you guys.
It's hit or miss with this crowd sometimes. You never know. Okay, so we'll be giving that away. The entry for that, I guess, will be at the end of the first segment, which will be marked by our first commercial break. So you guys will know when that happens, when it happens.
Yep.
All right.
Chris Bray also said he could clinch a playoff spot that day, which is true.
Right, and he's redeemed himself with a Mike Lager reference. The only guy to ever hit the ball completely out of Old Busch Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over the roof.
He's redeemed himself.
Yep.
He's requalified.
Right, he's foul
ball straight back. I remember that. We got the Ponder Cup coming up, right? How many spots we got left, Jeff? You know offhand?
36, I believe.
We got until November, right? So it's got a little bit yet.
Oh yeah, and we all know hockey players. We all wait to the last second. We're all procrastinators. There's been times where the rink has come to me and said, hey, it's 4 weeks till the tournament and you're not full. You still have 15 spots left. And I'm like, yeah, well, they're hockey players. And all I got to do is put one post out and they'll all start signing up. And that's what's going to happen. So I'm not worried. We'll get signed up. But I will say, if you are interested in playing, it's a roller hockey tournament. No, you've never had to play before. We've actually had brand new players come in and play before. And I think one guy even scored a goal once. And it's just for charity. It's for fun. So we don't care. Yes, it's a little competitive. Yes, you want to win the Ponder Cup. Us captains have some bragging rights with that, as it's been elusive. I can't win my own cup since the first year. I need to change that. Kurt, you got to help me with that.
Well, you've won it. I've been on a team that's won it.
Year.
Yeah, you won it the first year. I've been on a team that won it. I think that was the following year we won it. On Paul's team. And so, yeah, I've won it, whatever. I'm just playing for fun now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. But see, for me, I hear about it all year if I lose, especially that's why I set it up, because we already had one earlier this year. We had the 2020 tournament in May because I took 6th place. So all I've been hearing from the other captains are, wow, Ponder, in your own tournament, you took last. So I need to make sure that doesn't happen again.
It's a team game. Team game. You win as a team, you lose as a team. Chris Bray says, I play hockey. When is it? When is it, Jeff?
It is November 20th. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving. It's at Queenie Park. We get started. I don't have the exact time. I think things get started at 11 this year. We're getting started a little earlier.
I get up. Set my alarm.
Yeah. Oh, I have to get up at like 9:30.
Jeez. I got to drive over there.
Shit. When I was growing up, getting up early to go play hockey at Queenie Park meant getting up at 5 to get there for a 6:30, 7 o'clock start. So don't complain about 11.
Oh, how about this, guys? Andrew Kern, who is a longtime friend of mine, but a listener of both our podcasts, in the Facebook chat to Steven, what's up, everything?
On that,
can we ask you about that now? Okay, so for those who don't know,
that's
how Steven opens every single episode of Two Guys, One Cup.
I want to hear.
Where did that come from?
I want to hear it first.
That is an obscure reference to John Mulaney and Nick Kroll's "Oh Hello" on Broadway, which is also on Netflix. It is a completely throwaway line in the show, but one that tickled Ian and I so much around the time that we started the podcast that we just rolled with it.
But it's not what you say; it's how you say it, though.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I throw a little more spice into it than he did, but I don't even really remember the context in the show. But he just walks on stage at one point and says, "What's up, everything?" And that's where we stole it from.
Okay.
So when you start the show, let's say, all right, the Two Guys, One Cup show is starting. Here we go. We're live. Boom. Steven, what do you say?
I would give them a "Woo, what's up, everything?"
There you go.
There it is.
That's the first one that's ever been live, I think, by the way. So,
Oh, wow.
For your listeners.
Groundbreaking moment.
Austin says, Ponder, you seem to not win a damn game. So he's just talking trash. He's not trying to win the tickets anymore.
6th place. Yes, I did not win a game last tournament. That was rough. The problem was we didn't have any superstar players. I took a very well-balanced team, which in ice hockey is the way to go. In roller hockey with 8 guys, you got to have one guy that'll dominate the game, and I just didn't have that. I didn't have my Kurt Price.
maybe almost that much back in my heyday, but not anymore. I'm gonna get the puck and look around and pass somebody else guy now.
Yep, there you go.
Let's do official beers. Yeah, official beers episode number 320. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. I'm at CPrice12. Jeff is JPonder94, and Bill is Billy Blue Note 33. Bill, are you sporting one of the beers that you picked up today? You're on mute, Bill. There he goes.
Had to happen. So I am sporting one of the beers I picked up. It is fall beer season. I got a Founder's Velvet Rush that I acquired today. Total Wine Brentwood. And yeah, Founders doing a coffee beer. They never do them wrong. In my mind, they are the undisputed kings of coffee beers, especially the dark coffee beers. This is an Imperial Brown Ale that has cocoa brewed with coffee, chocolate, and vanilla extract and milk sugar added and aged in bourbon barrels. And I will say that for being a bourbon barrel aged beer, don't really taste it in this one. It's definitely coffee and Kurt.
Sorry.
Kurt.
Yes.
Microphone's making some bad noises.
I know. I don't know what's doing. I don't know what's doing that.
I'm sorry, fellas. You're just too loud.
Something was touching something else, and I moved cables and it stopped. Sorry about that.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a first for Let's Go Blues Radio.
All right.
Anyway,
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, it's a lovely coffee beer. Welcome to fall. I'm enjoying it, but I look forward to the other one that I bought as well, which I think Kurt is having tonight.
Yes, I am, and I'm pouring it now. So, Jeff, why don't you go?
Kevin Welch says, "Did Bill just describe Hitchcock as a beer?" Very nice. Very nice. Brian Roberts also says fall beer season is the best of the beer seasons.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Ooh, we have to...
Couldn't agree more.
I'm actually going to yield, and I'm going to go to our guest, Stephen Ground. Please, what's your beer of the episode?
Well, my beer is a very distinguished Yingling, America's oldest brewery, if the label is to be believed. Because it is basically a Budweiser, but because you cannot buy it in St. Louis, it feels almost imported. So this bad boy was either picked up at a Hy-Vee in Nashville or a Publix outside Jacksonville. It's anyone's guess, but you know, I enjoy a Yingling just specifically because it feels special, even though it really, really is not.
Yeah,
I think the first time I had
I'll say-
Yingling was in North. When was it? Landon's wedding, Bill? When maybe the first time I had Yingling?
Yeah, when we were in Raleigh.
Might have been then the first time I had it. Yeah.
Yeah, we bought a couple of 12 packs for the hotel.
Didn't they have it? They had it at the reception, didn't they?
No, they had it at the reception too, but
Yeah.
As I recall, we had some back at the hotel as well.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely, definitely an Eastern U.S. thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was so the first time I ever had Yingling was 2014 when I was at the draft in Pittsburgh. I was very excited to try it because I'd never had it, and I had heard, people out here, I wish we had Yingling. I'll admit, I was very underwhelmed, just because I was expecting like the most gourmet beer ever. But I will say, now that I've had it a couple more times, it is great. It's a great beer. I have no qualms with it. It's just, I think in my own head, I just like hyped it up to be like the greatest beer you can't get anywhere, because it's not in St. Louis.
Classic supply and demand. If it was on every shelf here, we wouldn't think anything of it, but because we can't get it,
it's like the
special.
In-N-Out burger here, I guess, for people that have had it in the past that can't get it here. It's like that's the greatest thing in the world.
Exactly.
Guys, we've got a celebrity in the chat. Matt Damon.
Matt
has
Damon.
jumped in. Matt Damon. Yingling is best, he says.
It sounds like
That's
something Matt Damon would say.
Matt Damon.
And the way he would say it. Yingling is best.
Yep. Yingling is best.
We say it the most
Sorry,
loving
Matt
way.
We love you, Matt Damon.
Oh, you want to sing the Sarah Silverman song?
Oh my, we could.
We could. No, we can't.
My beer is actually the first time I've ever had this. So the Beauty Milkshake from our friends over at Center Ice Brewery. I've actually I never had this before. It's great. Now I will say, the Beauty IPA is, and I've said this a million times on this show, and God damn it, Steve Albers coined this best IPA there is all around in St. Louis. It is the best. So I do like the original Beauty a little better than this, but it's solid. It's a good what's the word I'm looking for? Very
thick.
I can't think of the word. No, it's creamy and it's good. It's a good beer. I'll think of the word later.
What makes it a
being
milkshake?
live.
What makes it milkshake IPA?
It's just it's got a little. Bill, you've had it. I'm at a loss for adjectives here.
Yeah, so they use milk sugar in the brewing process.
There we go.
So it's become a very prevalent thing with brewing. But yeah, the first time I had it, I was really, I think I had my heart set on like the full on creamsicle experience, and it wasn't there. So I was disappointed the first time, but the follow-up ones that I drank, definitely enjoyed those much more now that I knew what to expect. But yeah, there is a different, almost a different texture to it because of the milk sugar it's brewed with. But yeah, it's tasty.
I don't know why these back-to-back posts in the YouTube chat made me laugh. Chris Bray said, "I had a Canada Dry with dinner. Does that count?" It's just
it's an ale.
It's a
ginger.
A ginger ale. And then Brandy Capone says, "I may or may not have stolen a picture of Yingling out of a VFW in New York at a wedding."
Very nice, Brandy. Very nice.
I enjoy the detail to that post.
Yep.
I do have the Bill beer was referring to. The beer that Bill was referring to, the highly acclaimed KBS a flavored stout from Founders Cinnamon Vanilla Cocoa, which there it is for the camera. If I can, my lighting here is weird tonight. It's so bright.
The yellow's a little washed out, but
yeah. But yeah, no, it's good. Like it says, cinnamon vanilla cocoa. It's an imperial stout with coffee, cinnamon and vanilla extract, and cocoa nibs aged in oak bourbon barrels. So who doesn't like cocoa nibs, right? It's pretty good. It's a really good beer. I enjoy it. It's a very
Cocoa nibs was my nickname in college.
Yeah, I can and I understand that. I've seen you in the locker room.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, this is a fantastic fall beer. Really good. This right here is like outdoor beer garden, cool hooded sweatshirt beer. Hooded sweaty. I can't even talk. I've had 3 sips of this beer. I can't even talk.
You wanted to say hoodie and you went somewhere else.
I hoodie and sweatshirt mixed together and I got sweaty. Oh, jeez.
You know what? If you wear a hoodie and a sweatshirt, you might get sweaty.
Yeah, you probably would. And if it's not cold enough, sure. But no, I'm just thinking outdoor patio beer garden. When it's cool, chilly.
I feel really
there's a nip in the air.
Steven has to listen to this.
He does.
Ridiculousness.
He does.
So yeah, now my second beer tonight, I have to choose either between what Ponder has or what Kurt has. So I guess I have a little time to think about it. But both of those are sitting chilled in the fridge.
Ooh. This is my second beer.
Hashtag PSL.
Yep, the pumpkin spice lager from
had that.
Sunrise Brewery.
I was at Sunrise last weekend. I had it.
Still an O'Fallon fan for the pumpkin, but this is a great beer. It's really good.
Yeah, I had it. I was there for the. I was watching the Cardinals game there on Saturday. I think it was Saturday. Was it Saturday? Yes. And I had the pumpkin beer. That was good. I had that's. They first had it 2 years ago. Was that right? I think. Maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but yeah, I had it last year. It's quite good. Had it again. It's good again. Good stuff. Okay, now we can get into some blues talk. Is that cool? Today,
no, let's keep talking about stuff that nobody cares about.
Yeah, it's like people are like, oh my god, where's that first segment? And we get the comments in there. Who's going to win this? Kurt gets the tickets for Hooded Sweaty. Kevin Welch in the YouTube chat.
I would agree. Had we not laid out the ground rules.
I don't know if Joe would be okay with it. Hey, by the way, we gave those tickets to one of the hosts.
The fans of the show, listeners of the show, just kind of let us down. So we had to go with one of ours. Today in St. Louis Blues history, courtesy of the @STL Blues history Twitter account, September 22nd, 1991, 30 years ago today, St. Louis Blues trade Rod Brindamore and Dan Quinn to the Philadelphia Flyers for Ron Sutter and Murray Barron. Not a good trade. Not a good move. I mean, you're not going to... Even though Barron was a serviceable defenseman and Sutter was... He was a Sutter. Not a great one. It's all right. A checker. But, losing Brindamore. Although at the time this deal went down, Brindamore was a little bit of a disappointment here, was he not? I mean, he wasn't living up to expectations. So dealing him...
He took a little while. He was like a defenseman. He took a little while to kind of bloom as a great defensive forward.
And I was all about getting rid of Quinn. I couldn't stand Quinn. So
I don't know what you're talking about, man. He was. I was really upset when they got rid of Dan Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Him and Butcher coming over in that trade. Oh God! And that trade, this trade is linked to that trade, which I thought was worse than this one. The losing Courtnall and
that's one of the worst trades of all time.
It's terrible. And that killed. Even though that team to finish the season 1-7 straight that year, that team was a really good team, and that Sutter had to have his big tough stay-at-home defenseman, and he traded a lot of character to get that, and we got bounced. So sucked.
A lot of bad deals have been made over the years for big tough stay-at-home defensemen.
Yeah, when you're giving up talent for size, it's like, urgh. And Butcher wasn't even. I mean, he was a big defenseman. He wasn't good. He wasn't a great defenseman. He wasn't.
You already said he was big. That means he was good. Isn't that the...
According to some people, I guess.
I looked up my thesaurus, my hockey thesaurus, and they're the same word. So
I had a conversation with somebody on Twitter about. I said I'd rather have talent over size any day. I mean, because somebody was, and we'll talk about this with Perunovich. Somebody was like, "Yeah, I'm excited about him. Just worry about his size." I'm like, I'd rather have a talented smaller guy than a Darian Hatcher kind of guy. So
I don't know. I think I'd rather have a Vladimir Chebaturkin.
I knew his name was going to come up. I knew it. Just knew it.
It has to. We're contractually obligated. But did you guys
Vladimir
read the...
Chebaturkin is a sponsor of the show.
This whole time. He's actually now an oligarch.
He's paid under the table.
He's an oligarch now, and he's got his meat hooks into Jeff. So, but did you read that full article that was posted? Like that gets you even more depressed about the trade.
Oh, about Stevens.
Because it's like, and this means that we're Ron Carano has given up on the idea of getting Stevens back through a court process.
Because they were hoping to get him back and to sue and get him back, and then they'd be forced to actually give compensation for getting him back. So it would have been another mess sending players back the other way. I think because then they say that Brindamore was part of the deal to get with the thinking to send them back to New Jersey to get Stevens back. Good Lord.
Right.
Andrew Kern in the Facebook chat says it's not about size, it's the motion in the ocean.
Right.
Andrew, this is literally an inside joke for two people, me and him. I ain't leaving. That's all I'm going to say.
Wow. That's a good story.
We were at a party once, and I bet him. I told him that, and because he wasn't a drinker, he was completely sober. This is when we were like 20, 21.
And you fixed
and
that.
Told him, I'm like, oh yeah, actually, yeah, we did. We did fix that. And I told him, I said, and just for his sake, I can't say the actual quote, but I basically said, if I need you to go around the party and yelling, I ain't leaving until someone has sex with me. I'll put that in the nicest way possible.
That's right. And you stepped up.
And everybody, I stepped up. Yeah, I nice friends.
Nice friends reference. Yeah, that's right. I stepped up.
That's right. I stepped up, but I couldn't go. So yeah, Andrew was a sober man. Everybody knew him. He was a very famous fella in our circle. So like, everybody knew he was sober, and he's literally running around the party yelling that, and it was just hysterical to see this. I mean, to drunk people, imagine that. I mean, we were all just falling over laughing. at this crazy dude running around yelling that about 100 times. Continue.
All right. Sorry. September 22nd, 2015, the St. Louis Cardinals host the St. Louis Blues night at Busch Stadium as David Backes throws out the first pitch. And that is, and it's topical because David Backes is in the news once again for the Blues. So only 2 items tonight on the Let's Go Blues, or St. Louis Blues history. We talked about doing, we'll do the, how about we do the first break after we chat with Steven about his trip? Does that work good for you guys?
Yeah, let's do
that. Way,
yeah,
that way we'll give
comment it a little bit.
More time for people to get some comments in with actual Blues talk with the discussion that we're having. How's that? We'll do that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe since we found out this week that Tom Hanks is a Blues fan, maybe he'll jump in and he'll have something to say.
We found that out?
Yeah.
Tom Hanks is a Blues fan?
Am I the only one that knows about this?
No. The trailer for his new movie, he's wearing a Blues jersey, a 90s throwback.
Yep. I missed that completely.
I put that in our show topics thread. You didn't see that?
No, I don't look at that.
What? That's the whole reason it's there. So you, in particular, look at it.
I'll be damned. Look at that. There, I did see that. I saw, but the images is goofy. And he's covering up. I didn't notice it was a jersey. It's a strange image. I did see it. I didn't click on it. And I didn't notice the Blues thing. Oh, okay, that's cool.
Well, there you go. Tom Hanks, if you're listening, you might be our winner. Go ahead and tune in. We'd love to have you at the Cardinal game.
Yeah. Okay, so Steven from Two Guys No Cup. Two Guys, that was the old title.
There you go. Yeah.
Steven from the Two Guys One Cup podcast, which is, you can follow him on Twitter at Two Guys One Cup. Steven went to Traverse City, Michigan for the Prospects tournament the Blues were involved in. Don't worry, Steven. There will not be a trivia contest during this show. Just so you know.
That's good. Good. I've been embarrassed by you guys enough.
I was gonna say the last time he was on, we actually had a little trivia contest. Kurt and Bill were not on for that episode. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I had a what was it? The best friend challenge. I had you and Ian answer questions and see if you guys could get it right. Kind of like a newlywed game.
Oh, that's fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
And then you lost in trivia at us.
Yep. That also happened. It's been fun. Trivia is not at all triggering when I'm talking to you guys. So, thanks for bringing up my trauma.
You know what though? I think about when we did trivia at Sunrise Brewery, and that was just a fun night in general. But I think the whole aspect of it is that you guys had the lead by a few points on us. I think it was going in the final round. And then we did very, very well, and then you guys not so much.
Sweep.
Not so much in the final round. I think in the final round, it was wasn't it old school questions or something?
It was hockey history,
something like that. Which I think you mentioned that of something wasn't in the wheelhouse you guys had. So, anyway, but that was interesting to come back that way. But that was a lot of fun. With you guys, I still have that picture that was taken of us all in the penalty box that they have there, the old Barnes penalty box, which is pretty cool. Of Two Guys One Cup.
He's actually got it framed on the opposite wall that he's looking at.
I should have brought it down.
It's actually the entire size of the wall.
Right. Yeah. It's been
really weird.
Converted to wallpaper.
I need that on the ceiling.
He's got a heart
above your bed.
Ian's face.
Above your bed.
It's really weird.
Well, who doesn't, honestly?
Just remove the mirror from above your bed and put that picture up there. That's what
there we go. That was so long ago. I think we were Two Guys No Cup when that went down. So.
I guess it was, wasn't it? Man,
yeah.
It must have been in the season building up to that.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. It was right before, or the season of. Yeah, I think so. So let's talk about your show's name then. How did that come about? It's a play on a video, I believe. Is it not? I don't know.
I've been told it was. We've never heard or seen the video.
Oh, come on!
No,
who on the show? Who on the show has seen the video? Come on, who's seen it?
I actually genuinely have not.
I've seen it. There we go. Okay,
I'm
So
familiar with the
you're
concept.
you're still an innocent soul.
I was
Yeah.
one of the unfortunate few who actually was tricked into seeing it. My brother of all people was like, "Dude, this is
All right.
really weird that I want to show you this, but like
So
these two chicks, it's amazing. You got to see this." And
so
I hate
okay.
him every day for it.
So you were tricked into seeing it. Did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah, because I felt like I had to. Because it was like
you were tricked
I
into
turned
seeing it. It's so
away.
offensive, but you watched the whole thing.
Well, I turned away and I was just like, nope. And like he just paused it and was like, nope, we ain't leaving this spot until
Oh,
finish
you were
it." And I'm
made
like,
to watch it. I see.
all right, fine. I was like, it's probably going to be quite the sensation. People are going to talk about it for the next 100 years. I might as well watch the whole thing.
And who knew that we'd be talking with Stephen Ground today, and who has a podcast name that's a play on that. So blues related too, oddly enough. So anyway, that's pretty. And you guys initially had the Two Guys No Cup, right?
Yeah, and to answer your question, I can't say I remember exactly when we decided on that. I just know that when we landed on it, because we talked about doing a podcast for a while, and so we were sort of planning out in advance. And when we landed on that, it just felt like, it had to be to reference such a cultural icon with the name of your podcast. It just felt right. So we never could have predicted in 2017 when we started that we would be changing the name as quickly as we did. But
I mean,
certainly happy to have done that. No
so I mean,
here.
When they win the cup this year, you got to go 2G 2C, right? That's got a nice little ring to it. So
there
we
go.
Repetition there.
Two guys, two cups. Yeah.
Two guys, two cups. We've talked on this show a lot about how why we wanted to start doing a blues podcast, 10 years ago. How you've been in your show since 2017, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so sorry,
what was it? What was the when you decide, like the conversation when you were talking about starting a podcast? Like how'd that come about? Like why did you guys want to do that?
Yeah, so Ian and I actually met in high school, very St. Louis story, and have been kind of friends ever since. But we got even closer talking about the blues, and we just enjoyed doing that. So when we both finished college and we're back in town, we talked about it a little bit, and he started listening to the Steve Dangle podcast a lot and kind of introduced me to that. We enjoyed those guys. And then that was the summer that Vegas expanded, I believe. And I think Friedman mentioned, if you're want to talk about hockey, if you want to start a blog, if you want to start a podcast, this is the summer to do it, because there's going to be all this news and all this action because of the expansion draft. And we had, kind of talked about it a little bit from time to time, and we just thought, why not? Let's do it. We're talking about the blues all the time anyway. There's no harm in recording it and sending it out to 3 people. And we send it to those same 3 people to this day. So,
That's funny. There's something interesting about it.
You guys have a great following. I again, we've said this a million times on our show. When we started out, we were literally like, I don't know if anyone besides our families and friends are going to listen to this, and luckily that's grown and grown and grown exponentially over the years, and it's been awesome. And I'm sure you guys are seeing the same thing, but for me, it's the same thing. Like, we were just like, we want to get some hockey talk out there, get some more blues talk. And we've seen these podcasts come up over the years, and the ones that last and stay are the ones that are getting the listens. The ones that aren't getting listens, they go away very quickly. So clearly you guys are doing something right.
Yeah, I think for us, it's just, it's still a ton of fun. I think that's the main reason that we keep doing it, and, we'll continue to. But I do think, the friends that we've made along the way, present company excluded, of course, has really, that's been the biggest surprise to me, as we've made some really good friends, and, had a lot of fun along the way that we never expected to have. People that started listening, and maybe tweeted us a few times, but then over the months and years have become actual genuine friends. That's kind of been the best part for us, I think, is just the community. The Twitter community can be toxic at times, as I'm sure you guys know.
What?
But
No.
There are occasional highlights too, and that's been a lot of fun.
It's interesting to me that when we talk about you can talk hockey with your friends in a non-broadcasting environment, right? Just
Right.
hanging out, talking during a game, after a game, whatever, at a bar, whatever. But there's just something different about sitting down, semi-organized, right, with mics and recording equipment and putting it out there. And you've got like a rough outline we want to talk about or whatever. It's just kind of interesting about how much more in-depth and intelligent the conversation gets when you're actually, you know what I mean? It's kind of weird because it's you're not just, you research some things and you have it out and you want to sound like you know what you're talking about, more or less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun in that respect too.
Yeah, I think with us, we would never pretend to be any level of professional, but I do think that it kind of heightens the enjoyment to kind of be thinking about through the week, sort of what we're going to talk about, preparing notes as news comes up, talking about, what are we going to cover? What aren't we going to cover? A lot of those conversations kind of get heightened. And then, this week we're doing our prospect pyramid episode, which is one of the few episodes that we do every year after the Traverse City tournament. And, we're both really excited to talk about that in a formal sense and be dead wrong about where we rank all the prospects again, as we always are. And, it's a ton of fun.
We got to get into talking about Traverse City, but Bill, did I say that right? Traverse City. Thank you.
Traverse.
We
We
discovered before the show that apparently I've been saying Traverse City wrong forever, literally since
how are you saying
came into the hockey world. I call it Traverse City. I didn't know I've been saying it wrong. Nobody's ever told me. So
Traverse?
I just, even when I was in the media, I would say like, oh, the Blues prospects are heading up to Traverse City this weekend.
It's like, well,
not once did you pay for the weed.
Do you want another friend?
Once.
You want another Friends reference? The episode when the coworker of Chandler's calls him by the wrong name and Chandler never corrects him, and it just goes on and on and on. And yeah, Toby, and it's too late, and so Chandler just goes by that name at work with him.
Yep.
So you've said it so many times, it's just too late to correct you.
I think I said it on KSDK once, and they never corrected me.
Traverse City.
Oh, I feel so stupid. My whole life has been a lie.
It's just a Chevy advertisement. You say it enough times, you sell a Chevy Traverse, and it all pays for itself. So.
Well, that is subliminal advertising at its finest. Holy cow!
Exactly.
We have to talk about the tournament. That's why you're here, and people want to hear about, especially Scott Perunovich and other players. But there is a couple questions for you in the YouTube chat. I think I went to Parkway South with Steven. Are you a Parkway South grad?
I am a Parkway South grad.
Uh-oh.
So
this person
05
also
to 09.
says, did Steven go to Oakbrook?
Yep.
That's your elementary school. Oh. This person says, I think we may know each other. He was so nice.
Then it must not have been me. It's a mistaken identity.
Yeah, another Stephen Ground. Yeah. Stephen, I hate to put you on the spot, but this person's name is Katrina Harlan. So I don't know if
Katrina, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
She was nice as well. I don't remember my high school days super fondly, but there were some good people there. So, man, this is a fun fact. You talked about mistaken identity. I had 3 people in my kindergarten class that shared my birthday, April 17th.
Oh, wow.
And one of them actually was also named Steven. So, that's a fun fact. But hi, Katrina. Good to see you again. Sort of.
Birthday's only
virtually.
Jeff reading your Facebook share.
About as virtual as you can get. Someone else saw a name online and a message.
Yeah. Pretty much
I'm
the same.
sure Katrina looks great.
Exactly.
Right. Pictures, it didn't happen. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. So your Traverse City, Michigan prospects tournament that you went to. So you drove there, I take it. Did you go to all three Blues games?
I did. Yep.
And I guess Perunovich is the guy everyone is talking about, kind of a standout player for the Blues in the tournament. Looked really good. So your thoughts on how he looked? Is it what you saw in person echo what other folks saw, or give us your view?
Yeah, absolutely. So to give just a little bit of backstory, I've been 3 years running. Well, not 3 years running, but the last 3 times they've held the tournament, I've gone up with a friend, not Ian, because we would never travel together, but with another friend who I like a lot more. And we go out there, and it's a great place to visit. And so we have a lot of fun. But over the years that I've been up there, just because of, kind of the teams that are up there and the level of success they've had lately, let's suffice to say there have been some top draft picks in Traverse City lately. In the years I've been there, we've seen Philip Zadina and Moritz Seider of the Red Wings, Joe Veleno of the Red Wings, exceptional status in the OHL. Capo Caco was there for the Rangers a few years ago. Some top-level guys. And there's only been one other player in my 3 years there that I've seen look as much better than the competition as Scott Perunovich looked this week, and just consistently stand out every time he touched the puck. And that was Adam Fox, who obviously just won a Norris Trophy this year. Now, I'm not trying to overhype Perunovich, although, I think I just did effectively, but
Yes.
he just looked, especially for a guy that we forget has basically not played hockey for, 12, 15, 18 months. I don't know how long it's been. He just looked so mature, so poised, obviously an incredible skater, very confident on the puck, but not necessarily selfish with it. And yeah, he really did. He stood out. Thomas Harley, who's a top prospect for the Stars, a top defensive prospect, didn't look anywhere near as good this tournament. Miro Heiskanen, when he was there for the Stars, also did not look quite this good. You never want to read too much into 3 games against other prospects, but just kind of comparatively talking about who I've seen and how good people have looked, he really did look just about as good as anyone I've seen out there, and I'm very excited about him.
So when you saw him, especially for me, because I watched most of the games on TV, I'd say about 80% of what I saw. But we all know, being live, being there, you're seeing. Plus, I'm sure you're pretty close with how the arena is set up in Traverse City. Traverse. Anyway,
Traverse.
City.
Traverse Shitty.
Travis City.
If you're going to mispronounce one, mispronounce both. Traverse Shitty.
But anyway, I noticed for him, like, the ability to drag the blue line and keep the puck in and be able to basically, like, find shooting lanes, even when he still has the puck and he's holding on to it, being able to kind of fake a shot or fake a pass and find a way to get the puck to the net. Was that something that you feel like you noticed a lot with his game? And was there something maybe even better you noticed in the offensive zone from him?
Yeah, I think, again, I don't want to draw too many comparisons, but that's sort of the biggest similarity I did notice with Fox when he was out there, is just both of them looked like they had complete control when the puck was on their stick. And, it's actually, as you guys saw, if you watched the Blues game, it's a pretty chippy tournament. It's not all-star game hockey by any means. It's pretty physical, pretty aggressive, and it's community ice center ice, so it's not super polished professional NHL ice. And there's a lot of kind of choppy plays and missed pucks, missed passes. But when he had it, there were not. Obviously there was an odd play here or there that didn't go his way, but I think you said it really well. Just his ability to keep the puck when he wanted to keep it and to put it exactly where he wanted to put it when he wanted to move it, whether that was kind of a seeing eye shot on net or just an incredible cross ice pass, was pretty unmatched. I think the thing I would point to that maybe didn't get caught as much on camera or was a little harder to see was his vision. And everything I say, I don't claim to be an expert hockey scout or anything, but there were several times where he just already was where a play was going to develop, and either intercepted a pass or was backtracking, to make up for a mistake on a teammate or make up for his own mistake. There was one instance on the penalty kill where he got a little too aggressive and tried to kind of drive the net, and it didn't go his way, but he had the speed and the aggression and the energy left to kind of get back and intercept the pass cleanly on the other end and just make it look like no big deal. I would say that's the thing probably that stood out to me, maybe that people aren't talking about as much, as just kind of his hockey IQ and his vision to be where the play was going to develop. But, I really didn't see a lot of downsides that I could point to in those 3 games.
Clem Costin is a guy that a lot of Blues fans are anxious to see get some time. Your thoughts on his play in this tournament?
Yeah, so he wasn't at this tournament this year, but I've seen him the last couple years.
Really? Okay, because he was on the roster.
He wasn't. Yeah, I don't think he's.
Oh,
is there eligibility?
You know what?
Yeah, he was on the team.
I was gonna say. Yeah, I pulled up the wrong roster sheet before.
But
never mind.
I can say from past years,
he's seen him before.
Yes, right. There we
he's
go.
looked pretty good, and I think he brings that physicality for sure. My question is, does he have kind of the offensive upside that you want to put him in a real top 6 role with him? But I think he just needs the opportunity to prove himself at this point.
So I want to go ahead and tell our listeners, live listeners right now, to keep those comments coming, especially if you have questions for Steven too, not just to win those Cardinal tickets. If you want to know anything about any prospects Steven saw at the tournament, I wanted to ask you particularly. So again, back in my media days, I don't know if Kurt and Bill know that I used to be in the media.
I had no idea. You need a raise.
Yeah, I've never mentioned that before. No, I always the events is always what kind of amazed me. I think I told the story on here before. I was just sitting at a table and Steve Yzerman sat down next to me, and I'm just like, "What the hell? What are you doing here? Like, why are you sitting by me? I'm a nobody, And it was just he was sitting down to like read a text message. And one time I was walking down the hallway and there's Brendan Shanahan grabbing bagels from a cart. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Like, these guys are just, they're larger than life to me, but then they're right here with me. So for you, just being a fan and like just kind of experiencing this tournament, what was the access like? Did you see a lot of, kind of famous faces and people that kind of made you kind of step back and be like, whoa, I can't believe I'm sitting right next to this guy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the real perks of going up there. This has been my 3rd time, so it's a little less shocking than it was the first time. But 100%, you saw, pretty much all sorts of execs, team scouts, that you recognize to varying degrees. Just from the Blues, Al McInnes was there, Keith Tkachuk was there, Berube and Armstrong were both there. Chris Thorburn is apparently in a prospect development role with the team, or a scouting role, and he was there as well. So yeah, I mean, Kyle Dubas was there for the Maple Leafs, and I'm sure all sorts of other GMs were there, as well as, top level media people from the Athletic and folks you recognize there. And it really is, it's just a community ice center, 2 rinks side by side, small arenas with bleachers on one side. The arena where they played most of the games this year is pretty nice, for that level of rink, but it's hardly an arena by any standard definition. And yeah, you just walk through those people, you get concessions behind them. Doug Armstrong held the door for me one day. It's very surreal. You kind of get used to it over the course of 2 or 3 days there. But it's super bizarre and a lot of fun, kind of a perfect hockey fan experience from that perspective.
When Doug Armstrong held the door for you, did he kind of bow and just go, "Oh, 2 guys went up, please, sir"?
No, that was when he bought me a beer earlier in the day. But no,
Ah,
that would have been so much fun. No, but he's, they're all pretty approachable. I'm not the type to go up to folks and talk to them. But the guy who's out there with me is a lot more courageous than I, and will, just say hello and maybe ask a quick question. And they're all very approachable. I think they kind of get that, like, you're there among the people, and if it's a fan diehard enough to drive 9 hours to come watch a hockey tournament in northern Michigan, saying hello isn't putting them out that much. So it is quite a roller coaster of all the folks you'll see there. The funny thing, though, you mentioned Steve Yzerman, the Red Wings have a private kind of box there, since it is their tournament and their fans in their area. And Steve is very hard to find. He's there, but he's usually inside the box. And I imagine that would primarily because it would be a nightmare for Stevie Y to walk around, a group of hockey fans in northern Michigan and try to get business done in the process. I think that's probably his big struggle. But it's a ton of fun to be out there.
Yeah, I would say like any former Red Wing players that are involved with the Red Wings that were there probably were the same way. There's probably like a hidden tunnel and, had a helicopter pad on the top of the building.
For sure. Some of the guys, Chris Draper's he's a little more visible, and there are a few guys that you can kind of see a little more, but they definitely had their room, and kind of, it's actually sort of like a weird jury, because they've got sort of a box that's kind of in a corner of the arena, and they're all kind of crammed in there, and it's like they're looking down on you. But it is what it is. It's kind of cool.
So want to get to a question here from Austin Lynch in the YouTube chat. How do you personally think Jake Neighbors played?
I would say Neighbors was probably our second best player behind Perunovich. He looked probably better than I would have expected. I think he's not a player I knew a ton about, certainly when he was drafted, and I knew he had a good year in the WHL. But he looked really poised and really, another high IQ player. I know the Blues love to draft those kinds of players, so it's no surprise, but had the physicality and the size, but didn't use it recklessly, which can't be said for a lot of the players we had out there this year. And I think was a lot silkier than I expected, had some hands plays that I didn't really think he was capable of. So, Jeremy Rutherford put out an article a week or two ago about how he would be fighting seriously for a roster spot. And I still think it's an extreme long shot. But I understand it a little more having seen him, up there, because I think he looks a lot more mature than a 19-year-old you would expect to look.
So who didn't impress you? Was there anybody on the Blues roster that you saw that kind of, was like, oh, this guy does not look ready for NHL minutes or even AHL minutes?
Yeah, a couple of guys I would say really stood out on, I don't want to say stood out, but definitely didn't have great tournaments. Would include Nikita Alexandrov, the second-round pick from 2017, I guess, not 2017, 2019, after we won the Cup. That's how years work. I was told by Jim Thomas, not to drop a name, but Jim Thomas was up there. So he was dealing with a groin issue. So I'm willing to write off some of that on, that injury, but he did not look great. And then Alexei Toropchenko, who has looked really good in Traverse City in past years, I don't think had a particularly good tournament, but that's a little hard to tell, if it's an injury or rust or whatever it might be. He's obviously also kind of a later round pick and not necessarily someone that you're projecting to be a top NHL contributor, but didn't have the best time. And unfortunately, Zachary Bolduc, our most recent first round pick, was injured shortly before the tournament and didn't get to play. So that was a shame to miss out on that.
Oh, Kurt, you are spot on so far with your prediction on Bolduc. For those that missed it, earlier, it was actually, I think it was the show after they drafted him, that Kurt's vast knowledge of hockey said Zachary Bolduc will never play in the NHL because of his name. I just don't see a player with that name playing for the Blues.
It doesn't jive with me. I don't know. It's just not doesn't work. Doesn't work.
That is because of the old Blues draft pick Alexander Bolduc, but who knows?
It just doesn't sound like a name that would be on the back of a jersey. And I would say, what a goal by Bolduc! It just doesn't flow.
Yeah.
True.
So what about your overall impression of the Blues prospects in this tournament?
I think it was surprisingly positive, I guess. The Blues had a kind of a half and half roster. There were a lot of invites and AHL guys that you don't really think of as prospects, and not having Bolduc there was, a shame, because he's definitely one of your kind of top 5 prospects that you would have been watching. Perunovich obviously completely stole the show and was the real bright spot, but I think the whole team played really hard and played super aggressive, which has not necessarily been the case for Blues teams up there in the past. I think the Blues prospect pipeline right now is pretty dry, and apart from a couple of big names, needs some refreshment in a big way if we're worried about the future at all, which we don't super seem to be right now. But I would say it was a better showing than I expected, heavily influenced by the fact that Scott Perunovich looked like a real potential star, rather than just, a good, solid defenseman. He looked really incredible. So that heavily skewing my, kind of take on the whole thing.
So I have to ask, what about the goalies? Hofer or Ellis? Who looked better?
So all three, they had Cranley up there as well. They all played one game.
Right.
Cranley got lit up, looked real bad, but again, it's one game, and he's the youngest of the three. I would say Ellis had the better of the games between the two. He was kind of in that primetime spot against the Red Wings on Saturday night. Very tough crowd, very anti-Blues crowd. And he looked really strong. Hofer, though, didn't look bad, and he looked especially good in relief of Cranley the day that he got lit up. So I don't think either looked, neither stole the show and neither looked terrible, but I think Ellis, I'd probably give the slight nod to as looking a little sharper overall.
Scott, we got a question from Ken Morris in the YouTube chat. Is Perunovich a better skater than Vince Dunn?
Yeah, I would say he compares to Kyrou in a lot of ways, just from what I've seen. Again, I'm not a skating expert, so you'd have to ask other sources to get the full opinion. But to me, he was very impressive, and I would put him right up there with Vince Dunn. As someone who loves Vince Dunn extremely a lot, I think seeing Scott Perunovich in action made me understand our willingness to lose him a lot more, because they are cut from very similar cloths, and it's hard to fit two of those guys into your 6 defensemen. So I definitely get it a little better now.
Chris Bray. Did you go to the beach in Transverse City? God damn it, that's how I'm going to say it now.
Transverse? In Transylvania City.
Actually our hotel was right along the lake, and actually just by blind chance happened to be the Blues team hotel. So one morning we had a kind of a walkout room, and one morning we walked out and they were doing yoga on the beach as kind of their pregame warm-up routine. So that was fun to watch, see some of their drills on the sand. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I just stood right by him and made myself comfortable.
Blend right in.
I figured that's why they chose that hotel, was because we were there. But it really.
The perennial Blues podcast is staying here. We have to fucking stay here with them.
That's right. As far as I know, Chevy Transverse City is not a sponsor of this podcast, but if they were, I would know. I love the city, and it's wonderful to visit just on its own, apart from the tournament. So it's kind of for me, it's that sort of perfect vacation because you get hockey, you have something to do, but the city is great food and a beautiful location. So my strongest recommendations for people to check it out if they can, and it's pretty affordable too as trips and especially hockey trips go. The actual hockey is very affordable, so that's a big plus.
I guess we're gonna wrap up this segment and do our break here in a second. Are we ready to select a comment of the show?
I think we are. I think
And
we're all in
do
agreement.
And do we have a second place as well?
Oh shit! Yeah, we do need a second place. Don't we?
What we can do is we can cut off the comments at the commercial break here, and then we'll announce it when we do have them. How's that?
Sounds good to me.
I mean, as far as like what's eligible for the prize.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Yeah, please keep commenting. We've got plenty of stuff to talk about here, folks. Man, It is late in the show, but we've got plenty to talk about. Keep commenting. But as far as we are officially calling it closed for the Cardinal tickets giveaway.
Okay. And on that note, we'll hear from our friends over at ID Life.
It's safe to say that the Burn Box from RockinThatIDLife.com provides you with the sugar bustinest, muscle buildingest, mood enhancingest, focus inducingest, energy boostingest experience. You not only get the excellent product, but you get recipes, menu options, a tracker, and program guide to assist you along your self-betterment journey. Based on your goals, you can double up on Slim Plus or Energy, or you can get one of each. With flavors such as mixed berry, tropical fruit, and orange, the Burn Box lets you enjoy the weight loss or muscle gain journey along the way. Become a VIP with RockinThatIDLife.com and place your Burn Box on subscription, and you'll save 20%. And as always, text
the roughest, toughest He-Man, stuffest hombre has ever crossed the Rio Grande
and our friend Dustin at 636-393-8745 and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you to receive an additional 10% off your order.
Now all of you skunks, clear out of here!
And go over to RockinThatIDLife.com.
Hey, Steven, before we continue on, why don't you go ahead and tell everyone where folks can find your show?
Yeah, absolutely. We are the Two Guys One Cup podcast at Two Guys One Cup with letters on Twitter and I think Instagram, although we don't keep that up as much as we should. But you can find us on any of your podcasting apps, including recently Spotify. We added to the rotation, which should have been done months and years ago, which is just a mark of how unprofessional and Bush League of podcasts we really are. But you can find us there. I also write over at the Hockey Writers if people want to follow that, but we usually tweet those out through the Twitter account, so that's the best place to start for sure.
Awesome. Do we have the winners, or are we going to wait on that?
We have one winner. I need Bill and Kurt to weigh in a little bit on what I said, but I'm fine, Kurt, with your response for number 2. But as far as number 1 goes, Brandy Capone, congratulations. No, it's not your comment about taking a podcaster to the game, as much as I want that,
which
to be
would have been
winning.
awesome.
Yep. No, it's actually your comment about I may or may not have stolen a picture of Yingling out of a VFW in New York at a wedding. We're all people who love beer, and we all love stupid stories. We're all stupid boys.
And stealing. We're a big fan of stealing.
Things we've done. We're a big fan of stealing. Grand larceny. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
So you are the winner, Brandy. I'm not sure what social media platforms you have. Hopefully you follow either Let's Go Blues Radio, myself, Kurt, or Bill. But go ahead and reach out to one of us on social media if you can. If not, comment in the chat. We'll figure out another way for us to talk. But I imagine social media is the way to go.
Congrats, Brandy.
Congratulations, Brandy Camboni.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm sure she will enjoy it. She better.
It'll be a great game. I mean, like somebody said, that could be a game where they clinch a playoff spot.
Yeah.
So that'll be really awesome to see.
Yeah, and I would suggest that she just randomly walk up to somebody and tell them that story as part of the deal
Right.
with getting the tickets. Just randomly walk
Yeah.
up and say, "I got these
Hey.
tickets because I stole."
Yeah. Hey, do you know how I got these tickets? Because I stole a picture of Yingling from a wedding in New York. It paid off finally.
So, you know what? I don't know if you guys just saw what I commented there, but I think our second winner.
You make the call.
Guys,
Make the
I
call,
need to
Jeff.
do
You
this.
make the call.
I'm just gonna make the call.
Yeah, I'm going with you.
Kevin Welch. Congratulations, Kevin Welch. Kurt gets the tickets for Hooded Sweaty.
Kurt gets the
I think
tickets?
Hooded Sweaty is now something that will be commented with on this show from now on.
Hooded Sweaty.
So thank you for drawing attention to that. You win 2 Hall of Fame tickets. I don't think there's like a specific day or anything with those. I think it's just a matter of, you get these tickets. You can go when at your earliest convenience. I don't know if you need to call ahead. We'll figure that out. But again, social media, hopefully you follow myself, Let's Go Blues Radio, Kurt or Bill. Reach out to one of us either on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and we will hook you up with those tickets.
There is a
Brandy.
I was gonna say there is a time frame here, time sensitive. So do get with us in a hurry. And I guess if we don't hear from you in a certain amount of time, we'll have to pick somebody else, right? So
Brandy has already responded and said, fortunately, not my wildest story. So she's listening. I know she's there. So again, Brandy, get with us, and then Kevin Welch as well. And if we don't hear from Kevin, at least in the chat, then we will pick somebody else by the end of the show who's still listening. But otherwise, congratulations to Brandy especially, but also Kevin Welch.
And the deadline is the end of the show. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, and Brandy's already responded.
Right, I know for the run up.
Yep. Yeah, just go ahead and reach out to us again. Any social media platform. We know Brandy's good. Kevin, we need to hear from you. And again, if we don't hear from you by the end of the show, whoever's listening, you might still have a chance to win.
All right, she's okay. Brandy's all in.
Yeah, Brandy says she's messaging
now. Okay, so with that said, actual legit blues news. Over an hour into the show, hour and a half into the show.
We talked Trav.
Right, I know, but I mean, as far as like active roster blues, yeah, okay, shut up. You know what I mean.
I think we've wounded him.
You
Traverse
have broken me. I am broken.
Transverse, yeah, transgender city.
Beep, beep, boop.
Robert Thomas finally signs a cap hit of $2.8 million per season. It's a 2-year contract. His actual money made this season will be $2.4 million. Next season, $3.2. He's played in 169 career NHL games, 87 points, which is 22 goals, 65 assists. Last season was a down year, 33 games, 12 points, 3 goals, 9 assists. Missed 23 games with an injury. This signing does put the Blues about $2 million over the salary cap right now, if my math is correct, and it's often wrong. So, but that's if it's wrong, let me know. When the season starts, Sundqvist will be put on the LTIR, which will free up about $2.75 million, leaving the Blues with about $750,000 in cap space. When Sundqvist comes off the LTIR, the Blues will need to make a move to free up about $2 million in cap space, unless they have other guys injured or on the LTIR, which we saw quite a bit of last season. So that just depends on where the Blues are. Yes.
Let me interrupt. I need to ask you guys. Oscar Sundqvist was interviewed by the Blues official Twitter, right? I didn't actually watch it. It seemed like it was more silly than anything. Was there actually a question about if he'll be able to start?
No. You know what the question was? You know what the question was? They went on social media, the Twitter post?
Yeah.
It was, is cereal a soup? And he said no.
That's what I figured.
He said no, and that was it.
I figured it wasn't real, which is fine. I get that. But when it's a guy like
Sundqvist
who's hurt, you think that question would still be put in just to appease fans.
I know. I was when I saw the video of him, oh wow, info on his, but it's not like the Blues official account to do that kind of a thing, really. Right. With videos like breaking news with video players. You know what I mean? It's just not something they do. They kind of do press releases and let the journalists and stuff handle that kind of a thing. But
well, I'll just say with this. Oh, sorry, Kurt. You have more to add?
No, go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say with this, $2 million over the cap right now, and that's if Sundqvist plays in Game 1, which he won't. I don't think he will. We'll see more from the Blues, but that's not gonna happen. So the Blues have a little time to figure this out. Somebody's been correcting me on social media that they think it's more like 1.3 million is free with Sundqvist, which if that's the case, then yes, they absolutely need to figure something out. But I think something that's like you said, Kurt, with the injuries last year, I think that's kind of what Armstrong's expecting, that by the time Sundqvist is ready, who knows? There's going to be one or two guys injured that this cap, and you're allowed to go over the cap. Was it by
7.5%? 7.5%.
So yeah, there's a little bit of a fluctuation there in case you have an issue like this.
Right, but that's due to performance signing bonuses. So I'm not sure if the 7.5 going over is only if the performance bonus kicks in, which I'm guessing is the case. Like if the performance bonus, who was that for that signed with the performance bonus?
Bozak.
Was Bozak. Yes. So if his bonus does not kick in, then the Blues don't get that 7.5%. So I think that's.
But it's what, 10 games, and he has another $750K coming his way.
Right. Yeah. So after 10,
that will be it.
And that'll be and Sundqvist will come back after that. So, and I'm also So that's a highly detailed issue. I'm not even sure if they break it down if there's as ingrained as granular as if that money can only be applied to Bozak. The 7.5%. I don't know how they could break it down that granular and make it that way, but that's actually a fantastic question. If I do say so myself, can the 7.5% bonus, I guess you would say, on top of the salary cap, the cushion, be applied to somebody else if Bozak goes over his and gets his performance bonus? Can that be? And if he doesn't put us over, and someone else does when they come off LTIR, can that 7.5% be applied to the guy that came off LTIR? I have no idea about that. That's a question for a capologist. That's because good luck finding that question on Google, because no way. That's too detailed, I think. But what
do you guys think of the actual what Thomas is getting? I said I thought it would be between 2 and 2.5, judging by since the Stanley Cup year. I don't think he's been exactly what we expected. I think there's still a lot of room for growth. He's still a young man, so I'm not sitting here and saying anything about him being a bust or anything crazy like that. I think this could be a breakout year for him. I thought last year would be, but with the injuries, maybe this year. It's a little more than I was expecting, with 2.8 being the cap hit. I think that
you know what,
this is it's a fair signing for him, especially if he steps up.
I thought.
What do you guys think?
Well, personally, I thought that this is kind of what I thought Thomas was going to get back when both Kyrou and Thomas were both RFAs. But when Kyrou signed for what he did, I thought, ooh, that's interesting. I thought Kyrou would have made less than Thomas, just the experience level. Even though Kyrou had a better year last year by far, Thomas has a lot more experience. He won a cup here. Injury issues last season held him back, even though he didn't look great when he was healthy, if he was 100% healthy. But I expected Thomas to kind of get more in this area here and Kyrou to get less. But when I saw Kyrou sign for what he did, and I thought, oh man, Thomas, this is going to be an issue with the cap, and it kind of was. But this deal for Thomas, I think, is fine. I think Kyrou was actually a little overpaid, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Just been trying to divine something out of the fact that they got the same money, right? We were definitely never thought that Thomas would get less than Kyrie did. And the fact that they got the same money, it almost feels like, they've been the two guys that have been the hope of the franchise, at least from a prospect perspective. Sorry for the alliteration, but they've been those two guys that, we've all been wanting to see, develop and become, the next great offensive players on this team. And to see them both get the same money, it feels like we're still very much in that, still waiting for them to realize their potential. And I think that's what these, the contracts that they were given allows them to do. I think they can both take these contracts and, either use it as a jumping board and probably, depending on how the other contracts, that play out and whether or not Tarasenko's winds up here long term. Maybe one of these guys isn't here after a year or two. But I like it. I'm certainly glad that it's done. There's nothing hanging over anybody's head as we get into camp. But I really do like that. Both these guys are gonna get the same. I don't know. That's my thought.
Your thoughts, Stephen, on the Thomas signing?
Yeah, I think I kind of echo what you said. I'm surprised that he's not making a little more than Kyrou, but I think once that Kyrou number came in, it probably fell to his camp to say, well, we need to make at least that much. I'm sure that did come up in negotiation, and now they end up being identical. I'm not too worried about the cap hit because I don't think there's ever been an NHL team that just said, oh crap, we forgot to be cap compliant by the start of the season. They'll figure out some way to maneuver around it. I think for both of them, it's probably a little bit of a premium for 2 years based on what they have given, but there's the potential for it to be a total steal, for these 2 years that they both have kind of breakout seasons. And I think it's just all the more kind of emphasis placed on that 2-year window that, is kind of openly discussed out there, whether it's Tom Stillman talking about that, Doug Armstrong's contract, Ryan O'Reilly's contract. It's a lot of focus right there. And I think these two guys and their 2 years contracts are just more reinforcement for that idea. And we'll see.
Where am I at here? The Blues signed veterans James Neal and Michael Frolik to professional tryouts. I'm all for giving veteran guys a look. The Blues have done this before. Teams do this. Signing some depth if they need to, or if a guy gets hurt in camp, they can sign a veteran player. I don't see Frolik making the team over Neal. But personally, I think Neal's a better option than Frolik if they are going to sign one of them. But I'd imagine that if everybody in camp stays healthy and performs as expected, these guys will be released from their tryout contract at some point late in camp.
I view this as Ryan Whitney and Paul Bissonnette. Not because they're hosts of a podcast together, but because they were Blues tryouts back in the day. They signed a similar deal, PTO, come skate with us. And the reason, Bissonnette, I'm not sure. I'm sure there was some reasoning behind that. But with Ryan Whitney, it was because Alex Pietrangelo was still unsigned going into training camp. And they wanted somebody to take the line rushes that they know a veteran guy can and do those on a top line kind of pairing. And that's how I view Neal and Frolik. I think Neal and Frolik were both signed because it was, Robert Thomas is still unsigned, which at the time he was, and Oscar Sundqvist is hurt. So let's bring these two veterans in who can step in their roles and do these two things that they can do. Not that they're any kind of similar type player, but again, they're veterans. They've been through this before. Plus, I don't know if there's any ties with anybody in the organization, with Berube, any of the coaches, Armstrong. I know there's a lot of Dallas connections with James Neal, but, might be throwing a bone a slight bit to be like, hey, come to camp. If you perform well, we'll have you in preseason. Maybe somebody else will sign you. I'm going to go ahead and make the claim right now. I believe 100% neither of these guys will be on the Blues roster come opening night. I think it's just a matter of we got to get these guys in camp to fill in for the veteran guys that we plan to have here. But there's a signing issue and there's an injury issue.
Yeah, it's, Armstrong's always had, these PTOs. It's a very low risk thing to do. I think at one point, didn't we have Patrick O'Sullivan here on a PTO? He does it a lot. My thought, you brought up the potential connection with Dallas with James Neal. I thought maybe Chiarelli and Edmonton. Neal had a couple seasons there, and then Frolik, possibly. The connection there might be Brandon Saad because they had some time together in Chicago. But I don't expect either of these guys to wind up playing. I think Neal can still probably get a contract, but Frolik, was spare parts on the Habs last year. And they're when Jerome stepped away from the game, you thought that Frolik would possibly get a chance, and he didn't. He didn't address a single playoff game. So I think it's just a low risk, bring veterans into camp to help give them a shot and help mentor some players for just a little bit, and maybe they find some magic. If not, no big deal. Have a nice life.
Yeah, I agree with that. Tryout's a tryout, and a little too much gets made of them. James Neal definitely interests me more. I mean, I think at $900K versus $5.7 million, he might be a player that still has something to offer. But I ultimately agree with Jeff. It's going to be really, really hard for either of them to make the roster. And if they do, it's probably because they showed something really impressive in camp and, sort of the old-fashioned Brian Elliott way, earned a spot, and maybe they offer something to the bottom six and, some veteran presence and all that good stuff. And, that's all well and good, and we'll see how it goes.
We're going to talk about Hitchcock rejoining the Blues. I'm sure we're going to have a nice spirited conversation about that. And
I can't wait.
I want to hear from Bill. That's all I want. I want to hear from Bill that entire segment.
But first, we're going to hear from our friends at Center Ice Brewery. Center Ice Brewery is St. Louis's only hockey-themed brewhouse. Stop on in during the next game to experience the ultimate hockey fan brewery while sampling various hockey-inspired beers, such as Old Arena Lager, the Beauty IPA, the Rotating Pale Ale Series, or seasonal offerings such as their Imperial Stout, their Lime Sherbet Sour, and much more. While you're there enjoying any number of their fantastic beverages, you can admire the bar top and tables made of authentic arena wood and the actual penalty box door from the old barn. Located at 3126 Olive Street in Midtown St. Louis, it's one of the best places to watch a Blues game, or any game. Visit centericebrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or make a reservation in the tap room. Center Ice Brewery. Let's go Blues. Please drink responsibly.
So speaking of Center Ice Brewery, did you see they tweeted out there is shuttle service this year?
Yes, which they have a new shuttle service, yeah. So that's fantastic because that, honestly, in my opinion, is the best way to go about going to a Blues game. You go to Center Ice prior to the game, pre-game at Center Ice, right? Have a beer or two, sign up for the shuttle. You go there, they ask you to buy a beer, hang out for a bit, and then sign up for the shuttle. Get on the shuttle. It leaves it numerous times, right? To go to Enterprise, get on the shuttle, enjoy the game, get on the shuttle after the game, come back to Center Ice, have a beer or whatever, and then head on home. So it's free parking.
Well, let's add that we don't know if that's still going to be the case. You get one beer and you get the
that's the
shuttle
way
pass.
that's the way they did it last time.
I would imagine that's still what they're going to do. But I want to put words in their mouth. But that is what it was with the Stanley shuttle. It was you get one beer, you get a ticket to ride the shuttle down to the game, which was amazing.
And that may have been just a center ice thing. So here, we're giving you the shuttle if you want to sign up for a beer and do that. I assume, I'm not sure if that was a Stanley shuttle or a center ice thing, but I would assume it's the same. But yeah, if it's not, maybe it's not, but it should.
I'm sure it'll be something similar if not.
Yeah. It's great news. I was heartbroken when I saw the Stanley shuttle parked in a driveway in my neighborhood.
I drove by it. I drove by it. That was so weird.
Hell?
Yeah.
Why is this here? And then 2 weeks later, the logo was off the side, and they announced it. No, Adam put us down, put me, Jeff, Kurt, and our ladies down for the January 17th game. We will be there pre-gaming all afternoon. It's Martin Luther King Day. It's the Prong of Retirement Jersey Ceremony night.
Yeah.
Put us on the list right now.
Awesome.
I'm going to go ahead and call right now that I will probably be very drunk that night because there will be a lot of drinking that day.
What day of the week is that?
It's a Monday.
It's a Monday. Okay. Good.
Martin Luther King.
Oh, yeah, right. That was said. That was stated completely. That was over my head. Yeah.
Bill's got that. He knows what's up. By the way, Bill, I have to say, I did not realize, and it's not that I'm like dumb and don't understand the landscape of St. Louis, but like
Are we sure?
It wasn't until I saw it how close the soccer stadium is to center ice. How amazing is that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
And if I ever go back to the office, my office is right in between there.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say that, but yeah, that's kind of what I meant by ask you. I know you're like in walking distance of both those things now. When I drove by a few weeks ago, actually, I went from forehands up to center ice, and I drove up Market Street for the first time in like a year and a half, and drove by the south stand of the soccer stadium, and oh man, I got chills. I'm like, This is going to be amazing. We're going to have some fun nights.
Yep.
All right. So Ken Hitchcock rejoins the Blues as a coaching consultant. That could mean, it could mean any number of things, but Ken Hitchcock has kind of had this role already for the past couple seasons, at least. He's been consulting with the Blues. With the coaching staff. So this is more or less just an official title and slapping a title on what he has, and I'd assume getting some kind of a paycheck for it. That kind of stuff isn't really released, is it? What they make. But JR has reported that Hitchcock has essentially already been doing this job since 2019. So he's no threat to Ruby's job. He's Hitch's coaching days are over.
Bullshit.
You think so? All right, go Bill.
Yeah. No, I mean, I will share. I'll share what I put in our group chat earlier today, which was my gut reaction, literally finding out from our group chat that he was back. So let me scroll to it here real quick.
Some background for maybe new listeners and Steven especially too. Bill was the biggest hypocrite of not hypocrite. Wow, that's not the right word.
I was like, wow, where are we going with this?
Did you guys know that I have an English degree?
Hypocrite City, Michigan.
You all know. He was the biggest critic of Ken Hitchcock in his tenure here. Yeah. Not a fan ever, and was calling for his firing way before it happened. So, sorry. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah. All right. So the play-by-play from our group chat today. Kurt Price, 3:32 p.m. And Hitch is back with the Blues. Sheesh. News is dropping today. Me, 3:44 p.m. Fucking Hitch is back? Kurt, 3:45 p.m. as a coaching consultant. So that could mean anything. At least Darren Kimball is dropped off the face of the earth.
At least what did I say?
At least Darren Kimball is
Oh.
dropped off the face of the earth. So,
That was with the Jamie.
You can still go to
Yeah.
darrenkimble.com and that'll take you to Let's Go Blues Radio.
true story.
That's funny. That was after that was referring to the Jamie Rivers news though, that he's going to
Right.
be filling in for Pang when
Right,
Pang's
right.
doing national stuff.
Yeah, have to get the full context here.
Right.
But yeah, so this was my gut reaction to Hitch coming back. So if this team starts like shit, that fucker will take over. I fucking hate it. He left, we won. Go enjoy retirement. But as I've had time to reflect on it and reading JR's article about him basically already being in it, I've had time to reflect and realize that Hitch was always going to be the guy that was going to replace Berube because that's just what Armstrong does. He tried to set something up with Yo and it failed, and Berube was the next guy in line, and I don't think anybody's clamoring for Mike Van Ryn to take over at this point. I mean, I like him being there, but I think as long as Hitch is still walking the earth, he's got a chance of coaching this team. As long as Hitch is walking the earth and Armstrong is in at least a executive capacity with the Blues, Hitch has a very good chance of taking the reins of this team yet again. So please don't start the season poorly. That's what I'm begging, because I can't do another round. I know Lou. We had Lou on a couple of weeks ago, and he absolutely loved. Hitch was great with the media guys.
No.
Like the story.
Bill, let me interrupt real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
We loved Hitch because he was great with the media. But there was
Right.
plenty of questions on whether he could coach an NHL team in the 2000s. That wasn't the issue.
Yeah.
It was we loved him because
Right.
he would talk to us and give us honest answers. That's the only reason Lou and me and Jeremy and all those guys love him.
Were you
Right.
in the
And
media,
that-
Jeff?
I was actually, yeah. I was in the media before. Yeah.
Wait,
Let's talk about that for a
You
little
never told us that before.
bit. You need a raise.
Yeah, from 0 to what, 50 cents a show?
Yeah.
You can be chief operating officer.
Yeah, COO.
Oh, I'll take it. Can I be the
CIO?
CMO?
CIO? What's a CMO?
CMO.
Chief
Uh,
Munchies
marketing
officer?
chief information
Marketing.
officer.
Munchie. You know what?
Yeah.
Give me
Chief Munchie officer.
Munchies officer. I would much prefer that.
Chief Information Officer sounds more like a title for a former media member.
There you
Yeah.
go. All right, I'll be the CIO.
Sure.
I feel
CIO.
like it's too I-techy, like ITE, but I'll take
ITE?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to.
Well, anyway,
I have to say, I can completely agree with a lot of what Bill's saying here. I don't believe for one second that there is no path for Ken Hitchcock to coach the Blues this season. I think that's completely nonsense. I tweeted earlier, if you gave me plus 2,000 on Ken Hitchcock being a head coach of the Blues this season, I'd put $100 down and just see how it went. I think it's a long shot, but I mean, how we know this organization well enough. We know that if Craig Berube in the last year of his contract starts out rough, and there's already a Hall of Fame coach in the building, we know Doug Armstrong loves. I mean, I can't sit here and pretend that that's impossible, or that Steve Ott would get the chance before Ken Hitchcock.
I think Kurt and I are on the opposite side of the fence here, not just because we're on the opposite side of the screen here.
Am I by myself on this issue?
No. I think me and you are in agreement.
Oh, okay.
Correct
All right.
me if I'm wrong, but I'm saying that I think me and you agree here that before 2019, and again, if anybody has listened to this show for longer than a couple years, I was the world's biggest critic on Doug Armstrong. I wanted him fired. I wanted him gone for multiple years before 2019. Then the O'Reilly trade happened. The Shen trade happened. And then everything since then. And I've agreed with many moves he's made since then. So I look at it now and I say, there is no fucking way he goes back to letting Ken Hitchcock coach this team. Even if the Blues go 0-20 to start the year, I think he has to hand over the reins to either Mike Van Ryn or Steve Ott or whoever, and then, maybe hire someone mid-season who's not already with the organization. I just don't see him making that call at this point and saying, oh, well, Ken Hitchcock's already here. Let's go ahead and bring him back in. It didn't work the first time. I mean, he got them over the hump in terms of the Davis Payne era and the Andy Murray era, but he didn't get them to the very next level, which is where the team needed to be. And he can't make that mistake. He can't do it. I mean, there's just no way. And if he does, I'm going to tell you, I am right back on okay, now he has to be fired, Tom Stillman. What are you doing? Fire your GM, because that is a terrible call. I just don't see that happening at this point.
I think the only way I think that Hitchcock coaches his team is if for some reason they don't think Ott or Van Ryn is capable or ready to coach an NHL team, and after the Blues would get off to a poor start, say the first 15 games or so, they're horrible, with a fairly healthy roster. And I could see maybe Hitchcock sitting in for a half a dozen games until they got somebody to replace him, like a coach, just a temporary fill-in kind of a thing. That's the only scenario in which I think he coaches this team as a completely temporary basis, just until somebody gets in the house.
But I mean, what if they go 5-0 under
caretaker manager?
What's that?
Caretaker manager, yeah. Yeah. As they say in soccer, caretaker manager. But what if he goes? What if under Hitch they go 5-0?
No,
I don't. Still agree?
I don't think. I think I agree with JR before JR put it out there, and then when he put it out there, I'm like, yeah, I agree with that completely. Is the ship has sailed with Hitch as far as coaching an NHL team for any length of time. I mean, maybe like in the short term, like I said, just as a fill-in until a stopgap until they can get somebody else in there. But I don't see him coaching this team long-term at all. I just don't see it.
I agree. I actually agree.
Jimmy Roberts holding over between Keenan and Quenneville, right? That's the role.
Yeah. Maybe. Not that I want that. That's like worst case scenario for this team, right? We absolutely do not want Hitchcock to have to coach this team for a couple weeks. That'd be awful.
Right. And I don't know, maybe you try to paint some kind of silver lining with Chiarelli has been through many head coaches in his career as a GM, and maybe that would help identify talent outside the organization that they might be able to bring in. But I don't know. It just makes me very uncomfortable with him having a more official role with the team again.
I will say.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Steven. No.
No, I was just going to say, conspiracy theories aside, I don't mind the move that much on its own. I'm a pretty harsh critic of Berube myself, and not the biggest believer in his coaching abilities or style. Now, I don't think Hitchcock is going to be the person that comes in and changes the things about Berube's style that I don't like. I think they line up pretty closely with the things about Ken Hitchcock's style that I don't like. But in an advisory role, he's not going to be interacting with the players, which is Ken Hitchcock's by far his biggest weakness, is how he grates on the players. And I don't necessarily mind having, Berube have that official person to look up to and communicate with. It just is the most Doug Armstrong thing to ever happen to find a role for Ken Hitchcock in the Blues organization in 2021. So I can't ignore the humor there.
And let's reiterate too that Hitchcock has been doing this job for at least a couple of years. So this is just an officialness to it, giving him a title, an official title. So he's been there, but and that's interesting because, maybe he thinks, GMs have to think a few steps ahead, right? So, and to counter my earlier point, I guess, to say, okay, well, if Hitch is going to possibly take over, should this team get off to a bad start, it'd be better in public and PR wise to already have him have a position officially within the organization and then just have him transition to head coach for a short period of time. You know what I mean? So yeah, I can see that happening.
It does feel reminiscent of a coach in waiting situation.
Yeah.
Not that we would ever do that again. Also, not to inspire horror anymore in anyone, but Ken Hitchcock currently sitting on 849 career wins. So if you're looking for an excuse as a head coach to get that 850, I think get that nice round number. Yeah, exactly.
One game, boys. That's all we need.
At the very least, if things go south for the Blues, there'll be a lot of speculation to talk about anyway, right? As far as coaching goes. My God.
We needed some controversy to get us through the season, and here it is.
Just one more thing. I mean, if what's going wrong with the Blues, if they do get off to a bad start, speculating as to why and who's performing poorly and what needs to be done, and if Berube's job's in jeopardy, and then all of a sudden there's Hitch in the shadows,
It'll be fun to see Twitter evenly divided between blaming Hitch for the failures from his current position and begging for Hitch to be hired as the new head coach.
You say Hitch waiting in the shadows. I think of the actual Hitchcock silhouette.
Yeah, the
movies,
Rear Window. Yeah,
Alfred Hitchcock.
That might have to be Instagram image for this show.
Same silhouette outline, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I think you should do it, Kurt, and get the Hitch with the fedora from the Winter Classic.
You're
right. That's got to be
the fedora outline. Yeah. The profile. Yeah.
Well, and you got to have the music whenever you open the show.
That needs to be done. And have him walking into the, what's his title officially? I had down here. What is it? Coaching consultant. Yeah, just have a coaching consultant little flag, and then have him just walk into it. Somebody over at Two Guys One Cup. I don't know if it's who did your logo, because I've always thought that was a sharp logo.
That logo is actually Ian's dad's work. Ian's dad is a professional graphic designer, and
there you go.
Was very kind to do those for us.
That was one of the things.
So would he be interested in coaching the Blues?
He might. I'm sure he'd be interested. Yeah, he's been great on this. I love him.
Yeah, you're not a good podcast unless you got a good logo, and you guys got a good logo.
We're not a good podcast, regardless. We do have a good logo.
You guys got a good logo, so you're already
have a
halfway
much
there.
Better logo. You guys have a much better logo than we do.
Well, I designed our logo, so that's
throwing some smoke there.
I do enjoy the logo quite a bit. It's quite good. It's quite good.
I just hate Let's Go Blues Radio.
I will pass along the kind words.
Well, because I'm a graphic designer too, and I appreciate the I can tell it's professionally done, so it's very nice.
Is that what you appreciate?
Is that what you appreciate?
That's what I appreciate about them. Their logo. Yeah, among other things, but right, yeah. I've always said, designing logos for businesses and things. If you're a business and you've got a junky MS Paint logo, people aren't going to take it serious. I mean, I'm just that's just it's honest. You need a good looking logo.
Use paint?
Oh yeah. Anyone? Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, that comes with free Windows. Everyone uses it.
I was gonna say every now and then I'll use it for a screenshot just because it's easier than just doing it in Photoshop. But hell no.
Wow, you'd be surprised. You're working in IT, you deal with a lot of people that just it shocks you of the level of technology knowledge that they have. It's just shocking. It's like, how do you get through life? I mean, you turning on a computer is a hassle. It's like, what? That's everything. It's everywhere now. Okay. That's got to be a hard life for people that can't do tech. Whew, it's everywhere.
Ken Morris in the YouTube chat says, "Good night, guys. It's near 1:30 a.m. in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Off to bed."
Oh,
Ken,
night,
thanks
Ken.
for listening. We
Sweet
appreciate
dreams.
That. Good night to you.
Sweet dreams, Ken.
Go Moosehead.
So another YouTube chat
Yes.
comment that will get us to our next topic. I don't want Army fired now since we have Chirelli sitting next to him.
Yeah. And
this
yeah.
is the one I could go nuclear on for a while, I feel like.
This is it. Yeah. And so let's go right into it. The Blues named Peter Chiarelli vice president of hockey operations. So Dave Taylor, who previously served as the team's vice president of hockey operations, will assume the role of senior advisor to hockey operations. Chiarelli was formerly the GM of the Bruins from 06 to 15, and the Oilers after that, where he spent almost 4 years before being fired. He took the Bruins to the Cup in 2011, but crashed and burned as Edmonton's GM, making a lot of questionable moves and signings. Edmonton fans generally hate him. And this is from Daniel Nugent Bowman. What is it with people in Edmonton having Nugent as a middle name?
Nugent. I noticed that.
Well, let me just add real quick with this. He was the one that signed Mikko Koskinen to his current contract,
and then fired him the day before
he was fired.
Yeah, that was so weird. But
Yeah.
awful contract.
Yeah, just real quick. We've mentioned his tweets on the show before, but Kyle Foxton has a great rundown. Traded Taylor Hall for Adam Larson. Traded Tyler Seguin for nothing.
Yeah.
Trading Jordan Eberle for Ryan Strome. Then traded Strome for Ryan Spooner. Traded the Barzal pick for Griffin Reinhart. Signed Mikko Koskinen for $1 bazillion. But yeah, welcome to St. Louis, I guess.
So Daniel Nugent Bowman, the Oilers reporter, explains why he crashed and burned in Edmonton. It's like, I quote, "He was brought on board right before the McDavid draft. He quickly tried to expedite the rebuild by making short-sighted moves. He tended to value big, not sexy, players over skill. He handed out long-term deals to players who didn't warrant them. The 3-year extension given to Mikko Koskinen the day before he was fired remains a perplexing move the Oilers are still paying for. Aside from the Leon Draisaitl contract, which looks much better now than it did at the time, Chiarelli's tenure in Edmonton was disastrous." So not exactly a ringing endorsement. But keep in mind, he's not the GM here. So at least there's that.
The way that I look at this is I say, well, he's a veteran GM. He's been here a while, and granted, he's been here about as long as Armstrong in terms of the NHL, not the Blues. So I'm sure there's plenty of insight he can add. But in terms of managing the roster, signing players to contracts, being cap compliant, I trust him as much as I trust Stephen Ground to manage the St. Louis Blues. No offense,
I take
Steven.
that as a personal insult. quite frankly.
Wow, you could have picked anyone, and you choose our guest. What the hell?
No offense, Steven, but you've never worked in the NHL before. So
Yeah. Oh, as long as it's preceded by no offense, you can say whatever you want.
Exactly. That's how it works.
I
in the
see.
English language.
Wow, no offense, Jeff, but
No. Honestly, let me walk that back. I would actually trust Stephen Ground over that because he at least has some passion for the Blues team. Whereas Peter Chiarelli is, this guy signed Mikko Koskinen again to a terrible contract. If he's just advising and it's just, I want to run this by you, Peter. What do you think? You've been to a Stanley Cup final. You've done this. You've done that. Granted, moves here and there. He's still a former NHL GM. As long as it's not, Peter, tell me what to do, I'm okay with him being with the organization. He's already been here a while. It's just a matter of the optics of it do not look good for Blues fans.
well, Okay, so we got the following info from a 2020 article in the Ottawa Sun where Torelli was interviewed. And this is after he was fired from, after being fired in Edmonton in January of 2019. Torelli was offered a scouting gig, senior advisor to the St. Louis Blues general manager Doug Armstrong in September. And so a lot of people, I think, didn't understand and realize that he has been with the team for a couple of years now, doing, in an advanced scout kind of a role. So Turley has not only been watching talent at every level of hockey since he took on his role with the Blues, he's also been playing the role of mentor in the club's scouting operation. So, and also to add to this, Armstrong having Team Canada duties this season will be taking up some of his time too. So that helps to explain why maybe they're giving him an expanded role this season to help out in that regard with stuff. So,
and that's understandable, but my God, the boys club, the boys, the good old boys of the NHL, that is the thing that speaks to me about this. I can't stand it. It's just,
I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, go ahead.
They're promoting from within. What do you think about that?
But they're hiring from the outside to be able to promote from within.
That was 2 years ago.
Yes.
That's irrelevant. That was 2 years ago.
No, it's I'm fine with them bringing in some other faces, but just because this guy was and I know it's kind of going against what I just said, but just because this guy was an NHL GM, you're just gonna he knows what he's doing. It's just it's such a good old boys club, and it just drives me nuts.
It is, and I think
Brian Roberts in the YouTube chat has an interesting, timely point for this discussion. Only 40 people in NHL circles can be GM, and 32 of them already have jobs.
He had
sums up the old boys network,
and it is, but I think. If you look back in his Boston days, and I'm just throwing stuff against the wall. So he had a lot of success in Boston. Went to the playoffs 7 times during his tenure there. Went to and won a cup. He had a 5-year plan, whatever it was called. And he won the cup in the last year of his 4 or 5 year plan, which was kind of like, wow, he got it done in what he said he was going to do. So, his success in Boston, and then Edmonton takes him, and he shits the bed in Edmonton. But devil's advocate, again, I'm skeptical of this Torelli signing. I'm just throwing this out there for discussion, right? So, who has success in Edmonton? Nobody. Granted, his moves were severely questionable. They're personnel moves, so it's not like it's on ice stuff that he's managing. So. I guess maybe you could take his time in Edmonton if you wanted to, if you're optimistic about this, to say, you know what, Edmonton's a place where people go to just not have success. You look back at his time in Boston where he did have success, and maybe that's and he did say that he stepped back from GM type duties after being fired. Took on the role with the Blues, has enjoyed that separation from GM stuff, and has learned a lot. So there is that aspect to it too. Possibly, maybe he's learned from his mistakes in Edmonton. Just possible.
I think his success in Boston had a lot to do with being handed Tuukka Rask for Andrew Raycroft, and being handed 2 first-round picks that became Dougie Hamilton and Tyler Seguin for Phil Kessel, both from the Toronto Maple Leafs, so I'm sure they're huge fans of Chiarelli. But I just feel like, I kind of hear your devil's advocate argument, Kurt, and say, who cares that much? It's an assistant GM position, whatever the official title is.
Yeah.
Strong's still in control. Maybe Peter Chiarelli really is an expert at something. I don't know. Maybe he's great at building a scouting department or something, and kind of fills that void that Bill Armstrong left, and we just don't know. We don't see that behind the scenes. But to go with Jeff's point, just the the endless amount of rope this league has for people who have clearly failed at their jobs.
Yeah.
In other situations and other circumstances, their total preference for people who have done the job poorly before than people who have never done the job at all is just endlessly baffling to me. And the idea that if, God forbid, Doug Armstrong got hit by a bus or something, Peter Chiarelli is the most logical front runner for the Blues general manager job. That terrifies me to my very core, especially with, Doug Armstrong just has a year and a team option left on his contract right now. So we're not far away from that decision having to be an option. And when owners have to look for new GMs, they love hiring guys they know and that they're familiar with. And if Peter Chiarelli has been there and not been making terrible mistakes because he doesn't have the reins, and Doug Armstrong decides it's time for a new challenge or time for retirement, and, similar situation to what we just talked about. Oh, look, here's a cup-winning GM in our organization that we can just oopsie daisy put in the GM role. That's what terrifies me about this. But maybe that's a little, tinfoil hat and too much into the future and analyzing it as its own thing. It's not the end of the world, but I do hate the old boys club for sure.
What I think that a lot of what you said unfortunately applies to all sports. It's baseball, True. It's football, it's every sport. Managers get your managers are in every sport are hired to be fired. It's a very limited tenure for managers typically in sports, and they'll go somewhere else and get hired somewhere else. If they lose somewhere, they'll go somewhere else. And it's, I get that there are a limited number of people that can do the job effectively, at least known people that, you could hire unknowns or people that have been doing it, in lesser leagues and stuff and take a chance on people. And that's probably what should be explored more. You get some in-depth analytics on some of these coaches that are coaching in lesser leagues. Hey, this guy can really coach, let's move him up. Which I'm sure happens to some degree, but probably not enough. I think a lot of people were looking at Dave Lowry as being a possible NHL coach for a while because he's worked his way up. Jeff Brown's a guy who was coaching, still coaching locally, right, Jeff? Jeff Brown is?
Friend of the show.
No,
friend of the show, Jeff Brown.
He was, but I think he's coaching up in Canada now.
Okay. All right. So he's, as far as local guys, you could, but that's any sport. It's just it's a weird recycling of coaches who have failed elsewhere. I guess the Cardinals kind of bucked that trend where they hired Schilt, who hadn't coached in the majors before. But yeah.
I will say one last thought on this whole thing as a package is just the optics of the announcement for an organization that's had kind of a tough summer optically already with all the Tarasenko stuff. Swallowing the jagged pill and announcing that you're bringing Peter Chiarelli and Ken Hitchcock into the organization. It takes some brass ones for sure to just put that out there to the world and take the slings and arrows that come with it. But if I strip back all the layers of my own personal anxiety and insanity, it's probably not that big a deal. It doesn't feel great.
Right. I think there's a lot of negative stuff surrounding Chiarelli, and that's just, and was it Oilers Live, Jeff, that kind of tweeted out and asked us, what's going on in St. Louis? So, with the Chiarelli stuff.
Our friend Michael over at Oilers Live. Yeah.
Yes. So he's like, and Oilers, Oilers folks are a perfect group to ask about him, since that's a recency bias and everything with him. So they know firsthand. They say he kind of ruined their organization for a while. Not that they were in great standing when he got there, but still. Anyway, moving on. Proof of vaccination will be required at Blues games this season. So this is, I'm all for this. I think, but this is such a hot topic, and the comments on the Blues official post of this, or anybody that tweeted this out or sent it out as a social media message, you get the comments like a wide range of people who are dead set against it, never going to Blues game again, this is ridiculous, and people who are like unbelievably happy. They don't go to many Blues games, they're gonna start going now just because of it. a lot of that maybe not too believable on both ends. People that are saying they're never going to go again. Well, yeah, okay, whatever. You're still a fan. You'll probably go again. But so there's beginning Friday, October 15th, fans ages 12 and older attending home games will be required to show proof of vaccination against COVID-19 or a recent negative COVID-19 test result within 72 hours prior to the event for entry into the Enterprise Center. So the Blues are the Blues are the 16th team in the National Hockey League to introduce a policy that require fans to show proof of vaccination or a negative test result to attend games. Fans and guests 11 and younger will be permitted to enter Enterprise Center and Stifel Center without proof of vaccination or a negative test result, provided they wear a mask at all times while inside the venue. I don't think that aspect of it, that policy, has been covered much at all. That you don't have to be vaccinated. You don't have to have a recent negative test. You can go to games, if that's the case, if you wear a mask. So my issue with that aspect of it is that we all know that people are liars, right? So once they get into the building with a mask on, they're going to take it off. Because what's the numbers in Missouri? About 50% of the people are vaccinated. Yes, give or take. So let's say the number inside the building is semi-representative of the people in Missouri. And you walk in and you see very few folks wearing a mask, which I would expect you'd see, because people who don't want to get vaccinated and don't care to get a recent negative test probably aren't keen on wearing masks, and are all about, because you see this at, say, Schnucks or Walmart or wherever you go that require masks if you're not fully vaccinated. There's signs on the front door saying, we require masks to enter the building if you're not fully vaccinated. When you go in and you see hardly anybody wearing a mask, you might see 2 or 3 masks in the building that might have 50 people roaming around the aisles. And it's like, wait a second, the percentage of vaccination in the area is like 50, 60%, but we're acting like it's like 90, 98% inside this building. There's about 45, 50% of the people are lying in here because they're not, if they're representative of the demographic, that outside the building. So I'm like, I don't trust people.
Well,
that's my issue with this.
Go to Ballpark Village. You literally have to walk in with a mask on. The minute you walk in the building, you can take it off, and nobody will say a word to you. That's what's going to happen here.
They didn't ever. They didn't. I mean, this was on their website, but this wasn't talked about that I saw on social media or in the discussions. The whole, you can get in without being vaccinated and without a recent test. You just got to wear a mask.
Is that for all ages though, or just 11 and under?
11 fans and guests 11 and under. That's how it was phrased. So according to how it's phrased, now if that's phrased and doesn't mean that, maybe because fans and guests 11 under tells me anyone under 11 that can't get the vaccine, and any fan that is not vaccinated or has a recent negative test. That's how that reads to me. That's exactly how it says on their website, copy and paste word for word. So unless that's inaccurate, maybe it's not that way, but that's the way it's worded on their website. So it's interesting to me that that's the case. If I hope it's not. I hope that's misrepresenting what is actually going to happen. Actually, that's a good question for the Blues. Maybe we'll ask them about that.
Yeah, no, I have tickets. My first indoor event, I have tickets to the Jason Isbell show at the end of November at Stifel, and he has been very public on social media about anybody coming to his show has to show proof of vaccination. And that was, I bought the tickets a long time ago before he was public about that, but thinking I might be able to offload them if things weren't under control. But I still, to your point about people are liars, I know people are buying fake vaccine cards and that, but it gives me more comfort to hear the from the top, the message from the top, from the artist, from the teams, to say you have to be vaccinated to come in the doors. So if what you're saying is right, that there is a loophole with the Blues, I don't like it.
Yeah.
So hopefully that gets clarified.
And you know what, we'll reach out to the Blues and try and get clarification on that, because maybe it's worded goofy and it just means 11 and under, right? So, but of course, 11 and under aren't going to have proof of vaccination or negative test, or okay, they're not going to have proof of vaccination because they can't get vaccinated.
Maybe soon.
Right? No, maybe it's future proofing this. So yeah, maybe. Yeah. But we'll find out, and then because that was when I read that today, actually, when I was researching for the show. I'm like just getting the deets. I was like, oh, I hadn't heard that before, so that's interesting. So I hope I'm wrong about that. But I was actually shocked to see the Blues go this route, because when I heard they were polling their season ticket holders on what they thought about masks and requiring proof of vaccination to enter the building, I thought, well, what are the season ticket holders going to say? I mean, it's Missouri. Missouri is they generally speaking, I don't want to throw a blanket over make blanket statements, but Missouri's pretty conservative about this stuff, and they don't they're kind of not on board with the vaccine mandates and the proof of vaccination and stuff like that. So I was going to guess that they would be kind of against it, but if they were, the Blues staff, the executive staff, decided to go against what they wanted and go with what was being recommended by the league, I guess. So only 16 teams, about half the league, is doing this right now. So about half is not, which is interesting. We discussed the NHL's COVID vaccination rules for the upcoming season. They are not. I mean, have you guys kind of been briefed on what the NHL is like requiring of players who are unvaccinated? It's pretty substantial, and I think the vast majority of players are unvaccinated. And I saw mentioned somewhere on social media that 100% of the Blues players were vaccinated.
Wait. Sorry, I need to interrupt you. Yeah, yes. You said most of the players are unvaccinated. Most of the players are vaccinated. Most of the players are vaccinated. The vast majority are vaccinated. And I heard, I don't recall where I saw it. I don't know if it was official account or what, but that 100% of the Blues are vaccinated. But so which is good. But so anyway, on some of the requirements by the league and the policies that unvaccinated players have to abide by, which is a lot. It's pretty strict. Now you can probably, after hearing some of these, you'll see why a lot of players probably did get vaccinated, if not just for to be safer. On the road, unvaccinated players will not be able to go anywhere except the hotel, practice facility, and the arena. At the team hotel, unvaccinated players can't use the bar, restaurant, gym, or pool, and cannot have teammates or visitors in their rooms. Unvaccinated players are prohibited from carpooling or using saunas. They are encouraged not to eat and drink on flights, attend bars or clubs, or eat indoors, even at home, with people outside their households or personal bubbles. Teams can suspend unvaccinated players who are unable to participate in club activities, according to the memo, whether it's due to a positive case or the inability to travel due to governmental restrictions. Unvaccinated players will surrender 1 day's pay for each day they miss. Unvaccinated players will need to quarantine for 7 days before training camp. Throughout the season, they will be subject to daily testing, as opposed to testing at least every third day for vaccinated players. For the second year in a row, players are asked not to vaccinate in community events such as speaking engagements, charity events, autograph sessions, or even fist-bumping fans. NHL players who participate in the Olympics will need to be vaccinated. The NHL said it also plans to allow vaccinated and masked media members back into the locker room. Any players whose job or access requires them to be within 12 feet of players must be vaccinated. If a player who is vaccinated contracts COVID-19, it shall be treated as a hockey-related injury for all purposes. So the NHL is offering players to opt out of the season due to personal health concerns for themselves or a family member, but the deadline to notify teams is October 1st. Players who opt out will not be allowed to play in any other hockey league or at the Olympics.
So there's a lot of restrictions placed on unvaccinated players, a ton of them. So I guess you can probably understand why the vast majority are vaccinated.
Right.
There have been a couple of cases of guys getting kicked off their teams pretty much already because Zach Ronaldo, obviously, and then Tyler Bertuzzi today. I don't know if you guys saw that because it broke pretty late. But basically,
Tyler Bertuzzi is the one that's going to make headlines, whereas Zach Ronaldo, I'm like, that guy's still
right. How is he still in the NHL in 2021?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, the other thing, so the Oilers actually have a very interesting situation. So they're who's the Alex Stalock. They signed him, and he is not going to be able to play this year because of a heart condition that he developed from contracting COVID last year.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh Archibald refuses to get vaccinated. How does that work in a locker room? Like, how do you be that guy? Like, how do you be a dick to your new teammate and say, no, I'm not getting vaccinated? I mean, that's pretty fucked up. But yeah, I mean, like with Tyler Bertuzzi, the big headlines that I've seen, he doesn't get to go to Canada, right? He doesn't get to play the Canadian games. And that seems to be what's getting the headlines.
He's the only Red Wing not vaccinated.
Yeah.
So,
and it just happens to be one of their best players, which is, you know what?
I'm saying a lot in Detroit,
but
I'm so happy to see that. Good. Fuck you, Red Wings. Spend another season in the cellar.
He just signed a 2-year deal too in July. So, I mean, you would, I don't know, you would think that would have been. I guess you can't make somebody get vaccinated, but.
As I read today, he basically won't be allowed to travel to Canada at all, which means he'll forfeit potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars of his contract from those games missed. And, I think if he actually gets COVID too, that's part of the policy is that he forfeits all that money as well. So,
and he can't. He's got to. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, just with Lou Korak coming on the show recently, Lou mentioned that it was his the day before he came on our show. He had his first COVID vaccine, and it wasn't because he was an anti-vaxxer for any reason. It was just he is literally terrified of needles, like it's an actual phobia for him. And so he said, you know what? NHL teams are requiring that I get a vaccine if I want to go speak to the players, not in a Zoom meeting. So I'm going to do it. And he did it for his job. He did it because he knew he had to. Not because he was against the vaccine, but because he's terrified of needles. But he sat there and he took the needle because he knew he had to. And I look at a guy like Tyler Bertuzzi and I say, again, I know you have your beliefs or whatever, but Lou is terrified of needles, and he did it for his job. And you're telling me that a guy like Tyler Bertuzzi can't do the same thing?
Well, it's interesting because, the articles I've read on Bertuzzi, they don't go into why that maybe you guys have seen others that have said why he didn't get vaccinated. I'm sure he has his own legit reasons that he feels that he doesn't want it. But I personally, if I hear someone's reasoning as far as not getting vaccinated, unless it's something where they medically shouldn't, based on a condition they have, the reasons I'm hearing, it's always like, I don't think that's backed by science. There's no one making him get the vaccine, so he's free to do what he wants. He's just got to face the consequences for that. So.
I think the NHL's done a good job too in just putting all the onus on the players to, live with the consequences if they don't want it, but, put harsh enough penalties in place that it's a really tough decision. And, I think we're going to see pretty much 99.9% vaccination rate because of that.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much what's been implied, that the vast majority of players have been vaccinated, and most, I don't say most teams, but the Blues, I've heard nothing official that they've all been vaccinated, so that's good. I'd imagine a lot of teams are that way too. And I guess if you like the Tyler Bertuzzi not getting vaccinated, made headlines, so you might hear of players that aren't vaccinated. We'll find they'll trickle the news will trickle out of who's not vaccinated as the season goes on. Something might happen, So it'll be interesting and a topic for discussion.
And I'll just say that with the Blues being 100% vaccinated per report,
if they are, yeah,
per reports, yeah, allegedly, let's say,
yeah.
I'm still waiting on that retraction from Adrian Dater.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, he should have retracted. Perron was vaccinated, so that was.
He should have retracted his whole 2020-21 season.
Yeah,
he should have retracted the last 4 seasons.
He's such a. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how a guy like that's employed. I just don't get it. But it's all shock junk.
Yep.
Next up for the Blues, training camp starts tomorrow, or if you're listening to this podcast on Thursday, it starts today, the 23rd of September.
What if you're listening to this podcast on Friday?
And then it started yesterday. You're behind the game by a day.
What about Saturday?
Or if your YouTube stream is really slow by 3 minutes, it's today.
That's true. Holy shit. Yeah. 8 preseason games are on the schedule starting on September 25th, which is my mom's birthday, versus Minnesota, October 2nd.
Happy birthday, Maureen Price.
Marine?
Marla.
Close. Marla.
Oh,
happy birthday,
man,
Marla.
I was really close.
Very.
I totally took a shot in the dark.
Very close. Marla the Cake Maker. That's her official title.
Yeah.
Does
she have a Twitter?
No. She doesn't even know what a hashtag is. I don't think. The October 2nd game versus Chicago will be in Independence, Missouri. The season opens for the Blues on October 16th at Colorado, and then they're in Arizona, then Vegas, and the first home game is on October 23rd, which is probably the latest home opener ever for a full season for the Blues, I'm guessing, because usually normal season, full season starts, I don't know, October 6th, 8th, 10th, something like that. And and then the home game, if they start on the road, might be a few games later. So October 23rd is pretty late for the first home game.
I remember one year they started with a 5-game road trip on the West Coast.
Right. Yeah, the
And
Western
then they went through Western Canada. Yeah,
so
I remember all that. But
that might have pushed them close to that.
That year probably rivals it. But yeah, October 23rd is pretty damn late.
It is pretty late for a home game, first one. But I've always said that I enjoy it when the Blues open on the road because it's almost like 2 season openers. You got the season opener on the road, and you got the big event for the home opener. It's like 2 big events as opposed to having the one big event for the home opener and then it's over. You get 2.
And I'll add for anyone who's listening live, and maybe even if we get this out early enough, that I'm actually taking a couple days off here the next 2 days. I think I've already decided it. I told you guys earlier, I was talking to Steven and Bill, and I was like, I might take the next 2 days off, go to training camp. I am taking the next 2 days off. I've already decided. So I will be at training camp hopefully tomorrow, hopefully Friday. So if you'll be out there, message me. I'd love to meet up with you and just talk some Blues hockey. So I plan on being out there over at Centene. Great rink if you haven't been out there. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Love that whole arena setup. So anyway, yeah, I'll be out there. So look for me.
I guess we'll close out the show. Steven, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was a lot of fun. I hope we didn't keep you up too late. You made a joke about being able to go 3 hours. We almost did that.
Yeah.
Up on it.
No, I'm a night owl, so perfectly in my element and had a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And they can folks can reach you guys again where?
At 2 Guys No Cup on Twitter, easiest way, and you can find the podcast. Sorry, at 2 Guys 1 Cup. Now I'm doing it. You poisoned me earlier. At 2 Guys 1 Cup on Twitter, and the podcast, same name on pretty much anywhere you want to find it.
So I just want to point out on Twitter, you spell out 2 Guys 1 Cup.
That's right.
Correct?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. And then where can they find your podcast?
It's on Spotify now, Apple Music, Google Play, all that good stuff. Pretty much wherever you want it, and SoundCloud if you're old school. So also
SoundCloud,
So
nice.
pretty much wherever you find Let's Go Blues Radio, it sounds like you can probably find Two Guys One Cup.
Well, yeah, you're our inspiration, so we just done whatever you
No.
guys do.
That's not at all what I meant, but I will take that as a compliment.
Jeff inserts his foot in his mouth often. I think what he meant was
if you are listening to this show, if you are listening to Let's Go Blues Radio, wherever you are listening to us, you can probably find Two Guys One Cup as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would say our Prospect Pyramid episode with all my extended Traverse City ramblings, Chevy Traverse City, is going to be up hopefully tomorrow night, early Friday morning. So
Awesome.
that would be one to not miss.
Awesome. So this was like a warm up for you. Little
pregame.
Little pregame.
Shake
Cool.
the rust off.
Sure. Yeah,
Steven,
right.
always a great time. And I will just add that we joke about other blues podcasts on here. But man, Two Guys One Cup, you guys are awesome. You guys have great insight. Love your hockey takes. And you're also a good follow on Twitter. We've all battled with you before on our opinions on blues in the past on Twitter, and it's always in good fun.
We didn't even talk about
we love your
Petrangelo
take.
one bit on here. Not one mention of Petrangelo.
We're healing.
Yeah.
No,
right.
that's
We're healing.
nice of you to say. Very humbling, and I sincerely mean it that you guys are the best ones doing it out there. So we look up to you a lot, and it is awesome to be on here with you guys.
We appreciate it, Stephen. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Support for Let's Go
And I'll
Blues.
expect my check in the mail for that.
Endorse.
Venmo,
Yeah.
PayPal, whatever.
You
Bill-
expect your Cardinals tickets in the mail?
Bill's in charge of the endorsement checks. So just
There we go.
yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, is that what this money was for?
Right, you're right. Oops, you spent it on beer. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by ID Life, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA. Visit rockinthatidlife.com for more information. That's rockinthatidlife.com and get 10% off by texting Dustin at 636-393-8745 and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. And by Center Ice Brewery, St. Louis's hockey-themed brewery. Visit centericebrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or to make a reservation in our awesome tap room located at 3126 Olive Street in Midtown St. Louis. It's one of the best places to watch a blues game. That's centericebrewery.com. Please drink responsibly. That'll wrap up episode 2 of season 10.
You did that
I did that
again.
backwards last week too. I'm
Yeah,
like
you
a
did.
dyslexic to some dedegree. That will wrap up. I am yes, I'm Dyslexic City, Michigan. That's what I am.
Traverse, right?
Traverse.
City?
Transverse.
Is it
You got it.
Is it Traverse?
You're a pro.
City?
Yeah, you nailed it.
All right. From now on, I got it.
It only takes the pros 3 hours to get it right. That'll wrap up episode 2 of season 10 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the live show. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. For Jeff Ponder and Bill Day and Stephen Ground from Two Guys One Cup, I'm Kurt Price. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
Let's
Go Blues.
Let's go Blues. Steven, give me a really enthusiastic one. Come on.
Let's go Blues.
That's very good. I want to save that sound clip, play it in later shows.
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Cyanosport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available.
A look at sports.
I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
I want you to have a heart attack and die so that we never have to do this shit again.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? only just begun. They're on their way to number